Welcome to the show, and here are your hosts, the diabolical Elite Gaming Guru, the illustrious RedDeadPanda, and the Australian stud Ashtrey Gaming. So let's get this party started. Shit.
It's ridiculous. Okay, we are live. We're live.
Morning, good evening.
Yeah, good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is, you're joining us live for the Gamers Initiative podcast, episode 90. It's insane, we're up to episode 90. We have two amazing guests joining us this week. We have Pong Soul and we have J Rock. So before we actually get into talking about what everyone's been up to this week, we finally kicked the fraud Elite off the podcast, and so that is why he's not here this week.
It was a good move. This was a good move, I think. I've listened to you
so.
guys before, and I think it's going to improve the show. So I think you guys did a wonderful job in making that decision. Congratulations.
But we've got Ashtrey with myself here as per usual, and yes, we are up on my show this week because again we got rid of Elite. He doesn't know it yet. No, I'm kidding.
He knows. We've been telling him,
knows it.
we've been dropping hints by saying get off.
Yeah.
But he hasn't just followed up with that yet. But
Get out of the fishbowl.
Out of the toilet.
But as per usual, always great to have all of our chat come and join us, other people that we game with every week. We love having you here and we love talking games. But start off with Pong. What have you been up to this week? And so glad to have you joining us.
Oh, no. Humbled and honored for the invite. So thank you very much for asking me to join you guys. Again, I've been doing this for over 2 years now, which is crazy to me. I can't believe it. But every show that sends out an invite, I try to make because I just appreciate it so much, and it never gets old. Like, I still love talking to new people. So first of all, thank you both for joining me in Elite. Sorry you couldn't be here. I hope your son is having a fantastic birthday, by the way. But would have loved to talk to you as well. But yeah, I was telling you guys behind the scenes here. Past couple weeks have been really strange for me. I'm a grazer, so I'm all over the place in my gaming habits. Generally, I do try to play the newer games. Again, I don't beat a lot of games because I'm a grazer, so I'm bouncing all over the place. But I do try to beat the new games. So of course, Hogwarts has been out. I dropped 40 hours into that the first week, and then Atomic Heart dropped as well, and I started playing that. Love both of those games. But the past couple weeks, I figured it out last night or a couple days ago that my need for Starfield right now is so great that it's causing me issues in my decision making with gaming. So not to bore your chat here, but I've been playing Tron Evolution from the 360. I have hopped back into Mass Effect Andromeda of all of them. Like, I was going to download the remake and fire those up again. And then, of course, the Microsoft rewards this week were Mass Effect Andromeda. So I jumped into that and I was playing it on the cloud. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to reinstall this thing. Why not? So that's what I did. And again, I don't look at that game as a Mass Effect game. I refuse to acknowledge it as a Mass Effect game. I look at it as a high-end AA sci-fi RPG. And if I do that, it's a very enjoyable game. So Indeed. I'm back to playing Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm still touching on Atomic Heart. I'll play for an hour here or there as well. And then Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Me, myself, Fun Speculation, Jasper, Psychonaut, we have been playing that a lot, and that continues to be the thing. I play a lot of it solo as well. Love my RTSs. The return of RTSs to the console this generation is part of the reason why I'm calling it the golden age of gaming, because we haven't seen that. We almost missed out, with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Almost got no RTSs. So to see them all coming back and have one of the best of all time in Age of Empires 2, I'm addicted again. I love that game. So that's what I've been doing.
Nice. Very good. J-Rock. Good to have you here too, man. And what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Well, he's disappeared. He'll be
He's
back.
disappeared?
Yep, he's disappeared.
Yeah, he did drop.
He did.
Oh, I
drop.
didn't see that. Sorry. All right. Well, Red.
What have I been up to? We discussed before the show. I have really been up to nothing. I think the only thing I've managed to play a little bit of over the past, since the last show, was Hogwarts Legacy. That's about it. Other than that, most of this week I haven't really been on Xbox. I've been watching stuff. I've been doing stuff. Been very busy with work, and
You've been adulting.
I've been adulting. Yes. Yeah. I have been doing stuff on the outside of my house instead. Yeah. That's basically been me. Pretty boring, but basically I sound like a fraud when I say I haven't been gaming. So don't lump me in with Elite, okay? But
we would never do that to you.
Yeah, hopefully next week I'll have a lot more time. I think I've got a lot more time set up for next week, so yeah, I should be doing some proper gaming next week. What about yourself? J-Rock is back. We'll quickly go to J-Rock, and then we'll head over to you, Ashtrey. J-Rock, what have you been up to this week? What games have you been playing?
I'm still playing Hogwarts Legacy. I've been playing some Wulong now, and F1 22 that just came out on Game Pass.
Not bad. Which one are you playing the most?
Hogwarts Legacy and F1 22 right now, because I'm a big F1 fan.
Yeah, very good, man. Very good. I've been jumping in and out of games. I'm a bit like Pong Solo Grays a little bit here and there. Recently finished Assassin's Creed Origins, but I went in and tried to get a few more achievements there. A little indie game called Cluster Truck. I don't know if any of you guys have played that before. That's in Game Pass. There was a tile that came up on the screen saying games under 1 gig. So I went in there and had a look and saw Cluster Truck and thought, I'll give it a shot. So I've been playing around in that. That's just a bit of fun. And the game that I've been loathing for so long, I've tried about 8 different times. I'm jumping back into Jedi Fallen Order. I've put it on easy and I'm just playing through it. I love the level design. It's absolutely fantastic. The graphics can be hit and miss. Sometimes it looks good. Sometimes it looks sort of washed out or a bit sort of
subpar.
I don't know. Just, details sort of sometimes not there. But the character animation and the way you move the character is really bad, in my opinion. It's really clunky. The combat's fine. I've sort of remapped all the buttons, so it's more like I've set it up like Assassin's Creed, using right bumper, right trigger, and then LB for the block. X is my dodge or roll away kind of move. So I've set it up like that, which works really well for me because that's what I'm sort of used to because I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. But yeah, I just don't like the way that the actual character moves and controls. So that's probably a me issue, but I'm used to just something that's more smooth and works better. But yeah, I'm playing through that. I want to finally get through it and finish the game so that I could still say that I hate it. But that's just me. And that's about it. I haven't been on Fortnite for like about a fortnight. So I'm putting that down for a while because I was playing it too much. And I want to get into a few other games.
Guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it stopped. It just stopped. Okay.
It's still buffering on
Give
my
it a
end.
second. Should hopefully come right. Come on.
Yep, I think it's right now.
Yeah, I don't know what caused it to do that, but it did it. All right. Okay. How am I liking Hogwarts? I love that game and I can't stop playing it. J-Rock. That's how much I love it. It's just reminds me of like
Which house? Hufflepuff?
No. I'm either a Gryffindor or a Ravenclaw. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's me. It's me. Some people at my work were like, "Aren't you Slytherin?" I'm like, "Do I seem like a Slytherin?" And then they had a second thought. And they're like, "Actually, no, you do not." And I'm like, "Yes, not a Slytherin."
I am.
100%. And that's the opposite of me, right? I always play the opposite type of characters, like in games, right? From myself. So I'm always dark side when I got a chance, right? That's what I always do. It just gets more interesting.
Difficult to play like that. Like, I don't like being evil.
But
I find it very difficult because I'm like, I can't. Just my moral compass is, even in video games, is like, nope.
No.
I'm a nice Slytherin. Except I do charge them money when I do tasks for them.
Oh,
That's the
you're
only
gonna
thing
pay
I
me
do.
for this?
Yeah, I make them pay me.
Oh, 100%. You got to get that currency in game, baby. Come on
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
Gotta get it.
It's 500 gold coins. Why not? So yeah, I think I've got about 40 hours in that myself, but I've put it down because I got a little bit sort of worn out doing all those Merlin trials.
Oh,
And I've still got like 30 to do.
I think I just unlocked the achievement for doing them all.
There's 100 of them.
I just get so distracted by everything else that I really have not been making much headway through the story or headway through anything else, because I just get sidetracked by every little thing in that world. Yeah, that's my reality. But I think it's a really good game.
Indeed,
awesome.
especially for their first open world RPG. Yeah,
Yeah, like
absolutely.
that, yeah.
Coming from Hannah Montana's world tour.
Yeah,
I'd
I
say
mean,
it was quite a leap.
yeah, well, you could only go up from there, though. Really, let's be honest.
Right.
Well, you would hope so. You could only go up from there.
Yes, but it doesn't always work out, right?
Oh no, it doesn't.
So
No.
You get the best of both worlds. Whose song is that? I have no idea because I don't follow Hannah Montana. So, was that a song?
I don't even know what Hannah Montana is.
That's probably good. Miley Cyrus when she was odd.
Oh, okay. She had a show, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think
Yeah.
I saw that once or twice on TV.
Whatever. We all know you have a T-shirt.
Hannah Montana t-shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Who doesn't, right?
God. Extra small too. That'd be great.
Belly button showing?
Yeah.
You gotta loop it through the top so you tie it. You know that old move.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Let's show off that belly chain. Let's go.
Oh, okay.
I reckon we should jump into our first topic.
I think we should too.
Luminous Productions. An update from Luminous Productions. Wow. I mean, why did they get acquired so quickly? This is just crazy news, right?
But you can continue. Yeah, go.
No. As I was saying, with Matsuda at the leadership helm, just it really didn't work out for Square Enix. Again, he tried to make changes, but it seemed like every change that he was going for was the wrong one. They've always been close to Sony, right? I mean, obviously back in the day they were Nintendo, but they got really close to Sony. But continuing that relationship to the degree that they have has really hampered their expansion, and they haven't cultivated new audiences anywhere else. And with Final Fantasy 16 on the horizon, and everybody getting really hyped about that again, they're going back to high fantasy again. After 15 and the whole boy band thing, which most, some people did like it. Shout out to my brother Steel Rain. He absolutely loves that game, but more people than not did not like that move. So now they're coming back to high fantasy, which I believe not have that thing ready to go the day your timed exclusivity runs out. That's where you should be thinking about, because that's a whole nother group of people just waiting to buy your game. So not to carry this point on anymore, but again, Square Enix needs a different leadership. Hopefully, the new guy, I believe his last name is Kikaru or something like that. He's been there he's relatively new. I think 2020 they brought him on board. Hopefully he can bring a fresh perspective and get Square back. Again, I'm not the biggest Final Fantasy guy in the world, but I go back with Squaresoft, right? Back to the, Secret of Mana days, Dragon Quest back in the day, right? All Dragon Warrior, as it originally started. I've been a Square fan for a long time, and to see what they've become right now is disheartening, and I want to see them get back.
Yeah. Takashi Kairu, I believe.
Thank you. Yeah.
And the other thing that they did, which is probably another reason why he stepped down or left, is because their heavy investments in blockchain technology, which look, it's still in its infancy, and it's not something that's really going to develop till later on. So maybe it's a foresight sort of thing, but cryptocurrency isn't really what it was, and I don't know if it's going to get back there. So it's a bit of a gamble to really get into that kind of stuff. They should just focus on games, in my opinion, and not try and sort of chase fads. So I think that probably had a bit to do with it his demise as a CEO as well, in my opinion. So, is
100.
the stream still running?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm showing it running.
Okay.
Showing it running.
It's
Keeps-
just it keeps cutting out. I don't know what is happening, but OBS keeps cutting it out.
And you got gigabit internet, don't you?
Yep. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with the
okay.
internet. Yeah. So
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure. I'll just keep.
I'll be
bringing it back
interested
online.
to see the numbers now that it's a PlayStation only title, and it's gonna be as such for probably a year. I want to see how much it actually does sell on that console.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we probably won't get privy to that information until they do an earnings call, if they decide to even announce the numbers for that. Because I mean, we still haven't even seen numbers for Horizon Forbidden West, have we?
Nope.
No.
And that's been out for a while. I mean, geez, I bought the collector's edition because I enjoyed the first one so much. I haven't even finished this one, so what does that tell you? But
with,
the
with Sony, when they're quiet, it's not up
It's
to the
bad.
par, right? It's very easy to tell because otherwise, just like God of War, they're out there telling everybody from the top
Within
of the
the first
mountain
week.
how much they sold. Yep, exactly.
So do you reckon it's under $1 million
Mm,
or under 5?
I'd say under
yeah, it's
5
under 5 for sure.
because
Probably
they
under
would
Under
have.
5 for sure.
It's been packaged with consoles, so
It
yeah.
was bundled.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not good numbers for what they were expecting, because the first one did really well, and it obviously hasn't replicated. So yeah, I was thinking that it's got to be under 5 mil. They probably were hoping for 10 plus, and it's not there yet. So until it hits that number, they're going to stay quiet. But I don't think Forspoken will even get that high. Maybe 2 mil would probably be its
Maybe.
best.
Yeah.
At the
Agreed.
most, I don't know. Yeah.
You think at the most because it was on PC and PS5, right? And you think, what about if it comes to console or for Xbox? Do you think then it'll get to about 2 mil?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's my guess anyway.
Well, I think it's
Maybe.
funny when you talk about Forspoken and you look at the fact that a game that costs less than Hi-Fi Rush has made more revenue than a game that costs $70. So that just goes to show the comparison around sales,
Right.
to make more revenue. Yeah. So, and that's even with it being on Game Pass day one. Still,
Do
Yeah,
you
so-
guys? I was gonna. Do you guys think that Forspoken, when it comes up, will be one of those titles that maybe Square offers to Game Pass for a lesser value? That's something that we're,
kinda like Outriders?
yeah, kind of like Outriders, where Phil can justify it just to try to get some attention on it.
Probably.
'Cause I don't think they'll actively seek it out. Like, I don't think Phil's going to be picking up the phone going, "Hey, can we get Forspoken on here?" But if Square approaches them with the right price, that might be one of those games that Square tries to revive through Game Pass eventually.
I
It
would.
could be. They could probably even get a better deal because I doubt
Yeah.
after 2 years any of us are gonna go out and purchase it.
I'm not
Right.
buying it. Other games to purchase.
No,
instead.
not unless it's a steep discount. Again,
In
I'm
2
interested
years?
in the game still. I'm one of the rare ones that I'm still interested in the game and I want to play it at some point. But I wouldn't pay full price for it. But when Godfall dropped into game, Xbox, and they had the complete edition for whatever it was, $20-$30, I think it was when it dropped. I did pick that up and played it and had a great time. Right, I finished that and I had a great time with it. Now, would I have ever paid full price? No, absolutely not. Of course
Right.
not. But yeah, you're probably right, Jay. It's
But
going to come in at a
did you
discounted
play
price
it on
when
your
we get it.
Xbox or did you play it on PC? I thought the game was specifically designed and could only work on the magical SSD of the
Oh, yeah, that's
PS5.
Nope. And you heard the Final Fantasy 16 producers come out and say that you need a $2,000 PC right now to run it, the PS5 version. Jay, I know you tweeted that out.
Oh yeah, I'm just listen. I'm just waiting for those Digital Foundry guys to get in on it.
Yeah, right.
I want to see what they have that $2,000 PC or below can run it.
Oh my god! And then you'll see people saying the PS5's as powerful as a $2,000 PC. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Which we've seen before. But back to Forspoken real quick. I reckon once the exclusivity deal is finalized and done, so it's available on Xbox, I reckon day one it'll drop straight into Game Pass, because I think they do deals. They don't do deals tomorrow. They do them months or years out. So I reckon there's already a deal with Xbox and it coming to Game Pass if not now, it's going to happen very soon. And I reckon as soon as it's available, it'll drop on Game Pass because it'll need to for sure anyway.
I think you're right.
So-
I think that there's quite a lot of stigma around that game as a result of how it actually, the state it released in and how it reviewed and user scores. That there will be people who just are like, I'm not going to spend the money on it because it's not a $70 game. It's definitely not worth $70.
Correct.
Absolutely not worth that at all. And the only way that people are going to justify it, maybe picking it up, is potentially getting it through Game Pass and then maybe getting the discount through Game Pass as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right. We'll jump into the next topic. The Outer Worlds is getting a PS5 Xbox Series X upgrade. It'll hit on the 7th of March, which is only a few days away. Pong, did you play the first Outer Worlds, and did you like it? And are you looking forward to this update or upgrade?
Yeah, so I did. I have not finished Outer Worlds. Again, I rarely finish games, but I have all the DLC too, actually, as well. So I have the complete package. Now, obviously, with it being private division and them charging for this upgrade, I'm like, really? Is it going to be? I watched some of the, they showed off a couple side-by-sides of the upgrades, and I'm like, is it enough for me to justify paying an extra? I think it's $10, right? Is it $10? I think that's what they said. $9.99. To get that upgrade, because I go back to the Outer Worlds from time to time and keep progressing as I do on a lot of my games. I just continue to go back to it. I love the Outer Worlds. I love Obsidian. I've always thought of them as the little brother to Bethesda, and I think that this is the generation where they take the step up and are side by side, because I think their writing and their character development and all that, their lore building is all on par with Bethesda. So I think that this is good. It's just unfortunate that we don't get the upgrade for free, as we've seen so many other games do it, right? Especially at this point, this far down the road. Now, I understand it's business, private division. They're looking to get a couple extra bucks off current gen people, that want to step back into the Outer Worlds. Hey, I'm not going to blame them for that. I just would have really liked to seen it come, at least to Xbox as a free upgrade. But it is what it is. I still, like I said, I'm undecided whether or not it's worth that for me to get at this point. Maybe when I start playing it again, I'll just give in and I'll be like, okay, fine, just give me the full upgrade. That's fine. Just do it. But I'll have to wait until then. Right now, I'm undecided.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Pong. I feel the upgrade should have been free, at least to Game Pass subscribers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that would have been like a good
Incentive
to experience it via Game Pass. But I think anybody who hasn't played the game, this upgrade is perfect for them. I think it's like $50, right? Or 50 or 60
For the
To
full,
buy the
for the
whole
full,
thing, yeah.
the new game,
full
yeah,
package.
$60.
Yeah, and it's a good
with the
refresher. I
DLC.
think they're dropping this strategically because they probably want to remind us of Outer Worlds 2, right? That they'll probably have something for June showcasing that game.
Yeah,
off.
okay.
So I think it's perfect for anybody who hasn't played the game. But I agree with you, Pong. It should have been a free upgrade for Game Pass subscribers.
What do you think? When was the last time we saw Outer Worlds 2, like the announcement trailer? Was it 2 years ago?
About 2 years ago, and it was all just that CGI. Actually, one of the best trailers ever, because
It
they
was
were
so funny.
making fun.
It was basically a fake teaser
Yep.
trailer,
Oh,
right?
it was
They
so
made
good.
fun of it as a fake, like, hey, we don't know what this game's going to really be yet, but we're going to throw something on the screen for you.
And
So here
this
you go.
boss, or this
It was
bad
great,
guy we've put
yeah.
in it, is probably not going to be in the game.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Hey, at least it's honest marketing, right?
Yeah, it is.
But this upgrade though, so $10 US. It's obviously improvements in performance, resolution, leveling up systems, things of lighting, environments, and things like that. I understand, these guys have got to get paid and all that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I agree with you guys as well. Especially Game Pass Ultimate subscribers should just have this as like the updated version to what they've already got. Yeah, absolutely. Because we already pay with it's already in Game Pass, so most of us have already played it. I've played some of it, never finished it myself. This could get me back in, but I'm not going to not that it's a lot of money, but that's not the point. I'm not going to drop, $10, which will probably be $15 here, just to play something that I could play right now. And I'm probably not going to care, excuse me, too much in regards to the upgrades. So
It's already got the boost, so it's already got the 60 frames. So you don't, you're not getting 60 frames. That's not an extra, which is a big thing for me. So yeah, it's just kind of a limited update to the game as it stands right now versus some of the other updates we've seen. With like Skyrim, again, as a Skyrim fan, that was well worth it. With all the mods and everything else they threw in there, it was worth the price. And then this summer, we're getting Fallout 4 update for free. And that goes to PS5 as well. They're getting the update for free, and Bethesda's going back and throwing in some of the mods into the console versions as well for Fallout 4 and updating everything. So we've seen examples of this, and again, it's not apples to apples because it is Private Division who published this. So again, it's not like first party. Even though now the IP is. So I understand why Private Division's asking for the money. It's just kind of, again, equal value. Compared to some of the other updates we've seen, I haven't been sold yet. That's all.
I agree there. I finished the game. I haven't touched the DLC though. So I guess the only way I would potentially go back and maybe even potentially look at an upgrade to take advantage of my Series X would be to go and play some of the DLC. I really liked the game. I kind of played a lot of it when it first came out and then stopped for quite a bit and then went back into it, and it has a pretty decent story. But for me, I think this is great for those who haven't got into it or who have started it and maybe on their last gen consoles and are now wanting to complete it on current gen systems and then go in and pay to take advantage of that. Because but I do like the smart delivery feature with the title on the Xbox anyway, as it is before the upgrade appeared, and we do have that 60 FPS boost there as well. I really don't think that this should have been a $10 charge for Game Pass people if they're going to access it via Game Pass. If you look at Back 4 Blood, you got free DLC that everyone else had to pay for on their respective platforms. Yep. And so a $10 charge multiplied by the amount of subscribers and the people who are potentially going to go back in and play that game just to look at this and even build up fanfare for it, in the sense of you might get YouTube videos looking at the comparison of what the original game was and now what the updated version looks like, and then it kind of rebuilds hype in for the Outer Worlds 2 heading into that. I'm saying a lot now. We were just talking about this before the beginning of the show. For myself, I'm really just dying for the sequel, because I feel like now on the systems that we have available and the support and resources that Obsidian has behind them through Xbox and Microsoft, we can expect a very expansive and fun-filled world to pick up right where we hopefully left off from the previous game, or who knows how many years later it's going to be. But I'm super excited, and it just makes me want to play the sequel. That's my biggest thing, is I want to go play the sequel. I might go and pick up some DLC for it. We'll see. But there's just so many other games to play at the time, so it's kind of hard to kind of justify going in there and then spending $10 on a game you've already bought. Yeah, so I guess there's that side of it as well.
And that's probably $20 for you, Red.
Yeah, probably. No one in New Zealand. Yeah, probably $20.
Or your firstborn, whichever comes first. All right. Well, look, I think we'll transition into the next topic. IO Interactive. A new adventure begins at IO. Now, we all know who IO Interactive is. They're a Danish video game developer. They've been around since 1998, I think it is. They're well known for the Hitman series, as well as Kane and Lynch. I've not really played those games, to be honest with you. I'm sometimes very selective, and I haven't really dabbled in those much. So I'm not, it's sort of neither here nor there for me, but they are making a new fantasy RPG. And that's something I am interested in, because I love my RPGs. I love my open world games, and I like fantasy stuff. So anything RPG is awesome So I'm sort of, this looks pretty cool. On their website with their announcement, they've got an image of 3 characters standing there. One's got like a staff. The other one looks like a pixie of some sort, and the other one's like I think like a rock creature.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty cool. J-Rock, have you looked at this? Is it something that you're interested in? Are you excited to see what they actually come out with on this?
Yeah, I saw the announcement. It looks very World of Warcraft-esque, like the characters that they showed.
It does.
But I'm not really into those those massively online multiplayer games like that. But hopefully they strike gold with this one. I hope they do strike gold with this one. Did any news come out? Is this the rumored exclusive for Xbox?
No, yeah.
No, right?
Jez came out and said that it appears from what he was reading from their statement, IOI's statement, is that this could potentially be the Project Dragon that he leaked, that it might have transformed into this. And so, unsure as of this point, maybe it's no longer exclusive. Maybe it was, he was saying that maybe, it had been, presented to Microsoft. Maybe something changed within that from the time that he got the documents, that maybe it just was turned down. Things like that do happen from time to time. And maybe IO decided to go to a multi-plat game at this point. So unsure at this point obviously it's unclear if this is 100% the Project Dragon that just saw, but he thinks it probably is.
But Pong, that makes sense, right? I mean, it's an online game, so why would you keep it to one ecosystem even for a timed period? It doesn't really make any sense, does it, for a business model like this?
No,
if it was a single-player game, sure, but yeah, you'd be limiting your market, which would be ridiculous.
Right, you want a thriving ecosystem.
Yeah, you do.
You want as many players to jump in
as
when it's
possible.
new. Yeah, straight off the bat. You don't want to be, slowly dripping it out to different player bases and stuff like
You
that.
want it
So that
cross-platform, and cross-platform play, hopefully, to then keep it alive as long as possible.
And Microsoft already has ESO, right?
Yeah.
In their catalog, so they're covered when it comes to those type
Absolutely.
of games.
So there you go. Maybe it was a switch to being an online game as opposed to just a single player sort of.
Would this be their
Or even
first online style game that they've done IO Interactive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So there will be definitely
100%.
teething problems. Yeah. Expected.
Yes.
Don't get it day
All
one,
right.
guys.
Wow. But IO's history is their games come out extremely polished, right? So that's one of the things about IO Interactive I love, is that when you get that game, of course there's going to be patches here and there, but overall your experience is going to be top notch, and that's something they proved time and time again. So that's why I'm excited for this, and it's certainly possible the project was much smaller when it was pitched to Microsoft originally. And maybe they just through, the early stages, all of a sudden it grew into something much bigger. And they were like, hey, you know what? We are going multi-plat with this because we are going to need a big player base for the scope that we're going for here. So you just never know how that all goes down behind the scenes. But very interested to see this because I love IO. I love the Hitman series. I love what they do. And again, their quality is one of the best. Again, they are at the top of my list for future acquisitions for Microsoft. And we had that smoke long prior to ABK that was one of the teams they were looking at. And I would love it because, again, I know what I'm going to get out of them. So I'm extremely excited to see more about this game, see where they're taking it. They claim that they're, trying to do something different from other, online RPGs. Again, a lot of people talk that talk, but when it comes to a team like IO Interactive, the experience behind them and what they've put out before, I kind of sit up and take notice of that and give it a little bit more credibility than some other teams trying to say, oh, we're doing something completely different. You guys are going to be shocked and amazed when this comes out. And then it turns out to be
Generic
just another
marketing
RPG.
speak? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So with IO, I give a little bit more credibility there. So I am taking notice of this for sure, because again, I love high fantasy. I love RPGs. So I'm always looking for new ones. I can't wait to see more.
I'm on the same mindset as you around, I love RPGs, and most of the games I play are RPGs. That tends to be my focus and where I spend a lot of my time. And any chance to have another fantasy one, I'm all for. And I also think that IO Interactive is a high caliber studio in regards to their previous work, but it's just that online component. We've just seen so many studios not been successfully able to execute that well enough, which is my one hesitation around that, considering this will be their first time doing it. So hopefully they're getting a lot of support and reaching out to maybe other people to go, hey, what were the pitfalls, and try and get as much knowledge in that field so that they don't fall into those common pitfalls that everyone else has fallen into. 343.
And we've seen plenty. Hey! No
Hey,
343
I'm looking
slander
forward.
over here.
I'm looking forward to season 3. I'm looking forward to season 3. But they have, if you're going to have a game like Halo Infinite with the online multiplayer, they just have the content hasn't been sufficient enough. That's where my issue is. There, but I'm
but you're absolutely correct, Panda. Because we've seen games like Babylon Falls, right? Mm-hmm. Within a year, just gone. Mm-hmm. With these, so hopefully they have the content ready to go, because I doubt they get the leash of Halo.
Yeah.
Where Halo,
Yeah.
there's nothing really on the market like Halo.
Yeah.
So it's unique, so they could give it time.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, the content's been lacking, but it's still Halo. Like the combat is still there, the gameplay is still there, the community is still there to a certain degree.
And we'll be
if they come out and they strike out immediately, and in this day and age and how the market is now, it could be dead within months. So that's the only risk I see with this with these sort of games.
I wish our next IO update was about GoldenEye. I mean, James Bond. I would like to know what's happening with James Bond. Like, I love James Bond games when they're done well. But I will definitely have a look at this game when it releases. But again, I'll probably wait and see how other people I trust with their reviews and their opinions, other gamers, how their kind of take is on it before I jump in. Yeah.
We're not gonna have to worry about it. This game's probably 3, 4, 5 years away yet.
There you go.
Right.
It's going to release on the PS 5.5 Pro 6.2 version.
On the mid-gen refresh.
The Series XXX. Let's go.
It'll be SKU 21 by the time this releases, because what we have, like SKU 5 or something on the PS5 at the moment.
Something like that, 4 or 5, yeah. Do we think that this is going to be a 2.5D angled view, or your traditional third-person kind of view, if we were to speculate?
Whether it's third person, first person, or over the top?
Basically. What do you reckon?
I would say third person.
Yep.
Yeah.
In their history. That's what I would say. But again, we've seen other teams break out of the mold and go away from what they've normally done. But they're so good at the third person, I would probably say that.
I think it would be cool to see a version where you could have both. Like you could switch between like over the top versus third person and switch between. If that would be quite cool, because I love the third person styles, but I also love over the top. Like I'm so ready for Diablo 4. It's not even funny, and I will sell my kidney to get it. Probably I'll sell Elite's kidney. There we go. I'll keep mine.
Does he have any left?
Yeah. Well, that's true.
All right, I reckon we'll move on to the next one. There, unless you were living under a rock, Mr. Phil Spencer himself was an interview with him earlier this week. He talked all things from what he's playing, obviously, to the Activision Blizzard issue or things that's going on right now. It's about 22 minutes long. He's over in the UK at the moment. He said that he was going to go and visit the guys at Ninja Theory.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that they're prepping for something, because he also talked about June, the showcase. So I think all that's to do with that. And I think we're going to see something pretty big. I think they're going to at least announce show a trailer of gameplay and announce a release date for that game, in my opinion. But there was a lot covered in this interview, in this chat. Throw it over to you, J-Rock. Did you get a chance to watch this, and what were the main things that you took from it?
Yeah, I got a chance to see the whole thing. The most interesting points were, again, is going to be the Activision deal, and him basically confirming that they have no intentions of taking Call of Duty away from anybody. They want to put Call of Duty everywhere possible, right? This is more about mobile than anything else. So
Lies, Jay. All lies.
right, lies, right? I have a question for you guys though, right?
Yep.
They came up a segment, right, where she asked them, "Oh, you said Starfield was gonna be on the PlayStation 5," and he was like, "No, we never said that." And then she was like, "Yes, you did." Do you think that was a way for them to like answer the question? Because I've been hearing it on the internet and on Twitter and YouTube that Phil Spencer lied. He claimed Starfield was coming to PlayStation. But was she ignorant of the fact that he never claimed that Starfield was actually ever going to be on PlayStation?
I think his response to that was, we said, he goes, I'm pretty sure I said it was going to be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Which he did say. He definitely did say that at some point in time. Look, we'd have to probably scrub through all the different interviews around that time to really sort of see what was said when it was said. But I don't remember Starfield being...
No, because it was never
said
announced.
that it'll be multi-plat.
When it was announced, it was
Right.
announced like with no indication as to where it was coming, like which platforms it was releasing on at that point. And everyone's talking about how, it's taken away this game from PlayStation. PlayStation was trying to take it away from everyone else, guys. They were in talks for an exclusivity deal, so just shut your mouths. just zip it. If you want to try and throw stones, just remember the context and the history of what was actually happening and get your facts straight.
Yeah.
Now,
But I
Panda,
think-
do you think she was ignorant of the fact that he never said that, or
I think,
was it a way for them to address that question?
I think
Yeah.
it was a way to address a question, but I think the approach around it, like, no, you definitely did say this wasn't the right way to do it,
Right.
because he doubled down on the fact that he didn't, and he sort of kind of just reiterated what he did say previously, not word for word, but the message behind it, and how like they weren't going to be taking away any games from any previous any existing titles are not going to be taken away from those platforms and those ecosystems. They're staying put. But for those who are complaining about Elder Scrolls 6, well, it's not on any existing platform, is it? So they can choose where to put it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I agree with that, Red. But to J-Rock, to answer your question from my point of view, yes, I think that was sort of strategically done so that he could address it and answer it to just clarify, no, I said case-by-case basis. So, because she's an Xbox employee as well, so
Exactly.
they wouldn't, she would know what's going on. She's been around for many years. So, yeah, I do think it was a strategic
Well, she
question.
does all the Forza Horizon interviews,
Forza.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Playground interviews.
yeah, those playground.
I'm going to take the opposite here, guys. I'm going to take the opposite.
Oh,
I'm
snap.
gonna yeah, no, I'm going to say, because again, maybe I'm extremely jaded. I admit that, I'm older. I've seen a lot happen through this industry, especially, but the professionals in this industry, I have an extremely low bar for. Well, I have a low bar for all humanity at this point, but I have an extremely low bar for professionals in this industry, and I believe it's even possible that somebody like her, even as an Xbox employee, has read the articles from journalism out here, so supposed journalists out here, and that even in the back of her mind, she believed that Phil had said something like that. I think there's enough of that goes around between social media and obviously the media itself, that I believe it's possible that she had that in the back of her head. And when she went into the interview, that wasn't necessarily one of the prepared questions, or it was a prepared question, but her response, her initial response, was true to her belief in the back of her head. And I think that she was trying to do her job as a journalist. So when he said, well, no, we never, and then she came back and said, well, no, yeah, you did. That was just her human reaction, right? Because she had that belief in her brain. And so when he came, when he said no and denied it, she just, fired right back at him. So no, I'm going to take the opposite. I think that was her own ignorance there that came up.
Well, in that case, we'll know in a couple of months' time when she's let go from the Xbox business. She's got to step away from family issues, or she's decided to go down a different route.
to all of your points, it was effective in what it did, right?
Yeah,
it
it hit
was
it home.
whether she knew or not, it was still effective in that moment to get him to double down. Because then people did go back and pull the old video. Of course, people try to go pull the Pete Hines video and try to claim, "Oh, see, it was coming." You know, they do that. That's the circus, though. That's what they do. They always are looking for Phil to make these statements so they can call him a liar. That's all
They're
they ever
so
do.
blind though for them to watch it and then take away a completely different, I guess, what is the outcome from what was actually said, and they're still saying he's a liar and he still took it away and all this other stuff, and it's like, no. And then to take Pete Hines out of context, they didn't really have a platform in mind specifically around that. They hadn't. It was still heavily in development, Starfield,
Right.
And then when they got bought by Microsoft, obviously the natural thing is they're going to be focusing on the platforms that Microsoft delivers or delivers their content to or their software to. So PC, Xbox, and cloud. And that's just the reality of the situation. Like, anytime a studio gets bought, unless they get complete autonomy to do release on whatever they want, you generally know it's going to be on that platform. And we're still how many years later since the Bethesda acquisition?
It's been 2
years. We're still getting it's possibly coming to PS5 and all this other crap, and I'm like, you guys are delusional, living in an alternative reality where you don't understand what exclusivity deals are, or like what exclusive, like what happens when you purchase a title or a platform or a developer or a studio or publisher or anything like that. They don't seem to understand the concept, but they perfectly understand it when it's PlayStation.
Of course. Double standards.
It's like ironclad when it's PlayStation. Anyone else, they're like, there are people asking for, what was it that's just released? Hi-Fi Rush now to come to PlayStation 5 and also to the Nintendo Switch. People are asking for that, and it's like, well, no, it's being released on anywhere that has access to Game Pass. If you can buy it on PC, you can buy it on console, you can play via cloud. They're not going to be putting it onto there. The only way they're going to be putting those titles on is if Nintendo allowed Game Pass on their system, or if PlayStation allowed Game Pass on their system.
I'm more than happy for it to go to Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
They did that with Ori, so I've got no issue with that. But keep it off PlayStation.
Third-party indie developer, right? This is a first-party studio.
It was, but they do own the IP Ori, right?
IP.
So so it still was kind of the same scenario. If that does happen, I could see it happen. Again, they've got a tight relationship with Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Nintendo reciprocate a little bit more than they have been, but maybe there are things in the works that we don't know about. But this GoldenEye release was, again, for me, I don't like Nintendo. I respect them for their history, but I haven't owned a Nintendo system since the Super Nintendo. They've got a few games that I wish I could play, especially in the RPG sector. But outside of that, I just think that Nintendo does take advantage of Xbox in a lot of ways. Again, we'll see down the road, but I could see Hi-Fi Rush going to the Switch or the new Switch console, whatever that's announced, at some point for sure. I think too, when it comes to this exclusivity talk, again, the circus they're just always looking for Phil to say the same line that he always does when he says, these acquisitions aren't about taking away games from other systems, right? Other gamers. They wait for that comment and then blow up online with the nonsense about how he's such a liar. And of course, now they're bringing up Starfield. Now they're going to bring up Elder Scrolls. People, again, this goes back to intellectual dishonesty or willful ignorance. One of the two, right? And I always put people in those two categories when they run with this narrative. Is because if you listen to Phil and you watch how Xbox has been moving this entire time, you would understand what he means by that. In the perfect world, in Phil's brain, he would work with PlayStation. He would work with Nintendo. They would have open ecosystems. They would share games. Like, that's his perfect world. Kumbaya Phil is real, okay? There's no doubt about it, right? Yeah. But he also backs his statement up by always saying, too, I still understand that exclusives are important to the market right now, right? He always says that as well. So these people that run with this thing, if you actually took the time to think about this, which I'm sure some of you do, but again, it's not a narrative that you run with because your audience doesn't want to hear it. But the fact is that if they were in the business of going and making these giant acquisitions to pull games off of PlayStation specifically, they would have gone out there and nixed every single contract, right? Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, they would have paid the penalty, nixed those contracts, and started laughing and said, nope, hey, guess what, PlayStation players, you looking forward to these games? You not getting them, come on over. If they were serious about this, they would not support ESO. They would not support Fallout 6. They certainly would not be giving the PlayStation 5 the Fallout 4 update for free. They would not continue to support any game on those other platforms if they were in the business of, well, let's use the FTC language or the regulatory body language, foreclosing on PlayStation. If that was their honest, true intentions, they would be making it very obvious by pulling everything off of all those other ecosystems and saying, no, you want to continue to play Fallout 6? Well, guess what? Come over to Xbox, create a new account, create a new character, and jump on in again. But no, instead, it's on PlayStation Plus right now.
Yeah,
right?
Ghostwire
So,
Tokyo was, oh, wow.
yes,
Yeah.
that as well. Again, they continue to honor what the deals that are in place. They continue to support the games that are already there. Starfield is a brand new IP. Whether you like it or not, Xbox now owns that IP. They have the right to hold that one back. Sony gets to have their exclusives. Xbox can have their exclusives. Elder Scrolls 6, sure, you can say, well, the franchise has been everywhere. Yeah, but each game is individual, right? Every game is different from the last one. So, again, they have a reason to say, no, this is not a continuation of anything. We're going to make this one exclusive. They own the IP, right? They went and spent the money. That's how this stuff works. Sony spends the money in a different way with third parties. Xbox has come in now with the backing of Microsoft and said, guess what? We're not going to cut deals for IP that we don't own. Phil's talked about that plenty of times, how they hate that. That's his own thing. We're just going to come in and buy it out and grab the IP so that we own it first party and we'll have our exclusivity. That's how it works. But again, they've been consistent. And again, with Phil's conversations, every time he says this, it's still been very consistent on how they've been moving throughout the industry and the decisions they've made. And again, the people who want to run with these narratives are ignoring that fact for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we even have Tom Howard coming out and saying that exclusivity is nothing strange to their studio. In fact, it's quite the norm, he says.
Correct. Absolutely. Again, Morrowind was exclusive to Xbox back in the day, right? That's how it, sometimes it works out that way, right? That's a part of the industry. It's never changed. And why it's different for Xbox, just because they have the money to go make these deals that maybe a PlayStation necessarily can't do, does not make it all of a sudden some imaginary rule for everybody. Well, they can't do that. That's not the right way. You got to do it Sony's way. No, that's not how business works. Okay. You guys have these made up rules. Like we're in some actually officiated game where everybody's got to play the same way. That's not how this happens. Everybody tried to play Sony's way. Nintendo lost, created their own new way, which works for them extremely well. Xbox continued to try to play Sony's game. Guess what? It didn't work. They've said, you know what? We got to go back to the drawing board. We're going to go create our own new set of rules. And they came up with Game Pass, and they came up with cloud gaming.
And now
that's
PlayStation's
now working
trying to play
for them.
that road.
Right,
And they're not
exactly.
doing that very successfully either.
Exactly. Correct. Because they're playing by the old ways.
But I think
And look, Xbox's way as well gives a lot of goodwill to gamers, regardless of platform, which people remember. If you boot up a game and going forward, you're playing it on PlayStation and Microsoft or Xbox, Studios comes up, that's gonna sit with them forever. So look, Xbox are more strategic in the way they do things, and they've got to be, because their eyes on them are always so negative in the media, etc. So they kind of don't have a choice but to play it this way. But it's going to work out for them in the long run.
But
in my opinion, anyway.
I always thought it was interesting how talking about exclusive games and how PlayStation games like, if you want to play one of these games, get a PlayStation. And then they were like, there's no reason to own an Xbox because all their games are coming to PC. And then they all made it sound like they all had amazing PCs and they were just going to buy the games on PC instead. However, the reality of a console gamer, people who actively choose to play on console, aren't necessarily going to enjoy the move to PC and prefer the ease of use of console gaming. So sometimes you're just going to have to pull up your socks and purchase a different console, subscribe to Game Pass, or use cloud gaming, and eat your own words because you turned around and said, just get a PlayStation. That's not the reality anymore.
That's not fair, Panda. That's not fair. That only works one way. This is a one-way street. This isn't a two-way street.
Yeah, I've been saying that on Twitter now lately these days, is buy an Xbox.
Yeah, but it's like, that's the reality. We were in they're so used to one way, and then they continuously fought when games started going to PC, like PlayStation titles. They were so upset about it. It's like, no, the industry is changing, and even sorry, I feel sick every time I mention Jim Ryan's name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he
It's normal.
he talked about increasing the amount of
Messy.
gamers they can
Messy,
reach
Red.
by
I was
putting
just
games on
about to
I
PC.
expect that from Elite.
I was just
but
about to say that, Panda. They always hold Phil to his words, but never Jim Ryan, right? When Jim Ryan came out and said he wants to expand beyond the 20 to 30 million they always get on PlayStation, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody ever says, "Well, Jimmy, let's make that dream a reality. Put your games everywhere."
They're so
And
anti
see how quickly you could reach your goal of 100 million players.
like they're so toxic to their own brand anyway, and then they're just toxic to everyone else's that they just kind of need to be quarantined off and go do your own thing.
we
the
believe
rest
in
of us
generations.
the rest of us are happy to, like, the fact that more games and being announced for like PC that are Xbox games and vice versa coming the opposite way. No one's complaining about it. The only people who are complaining about it, and we like to take the piss and take the mickey and remind you guys when your coveted exclusives go to PC, because you always like to have a hissy fit when this happens. It's just grow up.
Now, when asked about the Activision Blizzard King deal, he said it's easy to talk about COD, Call of Duty. However, he doubled down and he said that they're interested in mobile. Do you guys believe him when he said that?
It's
Or
like
do you
we-
think?
100.
Yeah?
I believe it.
I mean, they've switched their thing. It's no longer TVT. It's now mobile.
Well, again, that's where the biggest, it's probably the youngest way to play games in terms of video games have been around for
Next
a long
gen.
time. Consoles have been around for forever. Mobile's only been around for gaming. It hasn't been around anywhere near as long, yet it's got the most player base.
I think
And,
that there are.
if I'm not mistaken, right, there was a report that recently came out maybe a day or two ago showing that Activision had more revenue coming from their mobile department than they did even PlayStation.
Jeez, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, their goal is 3 billion people, right? You can't just get that selling consoles. So you have to expand into PC, you have to expand on other platforms, and you have to go into mobile
Well,
and cloud, obviously.
I think that's a big thing when you're looking at the actual regulators reviewing this deal. And one of the things that needs to be taken into consideration is if Microsoft comes into that, they instantly kind of break up the duopoly that is Google Play Store and the
Apple.
Apple iStore. Yeah, well, I don't know what it's called. Whatever, App Store. I don't know. I don't have an Apple device. But
Good for you.
yeah,
You should.
no, I'm quite good not having one. And so they've kind of got a thing where they can allow it because they know that Microsoft is going after mobile, and they've kind of doubled down on it. And we keep hearing it from Satya Nadella, Phil Spencer, everyone who's talking about this deal from their side are talking about, yes, Call of Duty is a factor, but that is not why we want this. And a great thing that J-Rock just said is that they're making more money in the mobile space anyway than they are anywhere else. And so I think that's going to be a deciding factor around this deal going through, is the fact that, yes, there'll be concessions to appease the console side of it, but part of this deal going in is to kind of add more competition to that mobile market and prevent that duopoly that's sitting in there as well.
You're spot on, Panda. That's exactly what I was going to say because that's where the next battle is for Microsoft. That's the next battle. They're gearing up. We heard what it was a couple months ago that they're putting together a new mobile app store. They are going to take on Google and Apple. That's why you see Google siding with Sony in this right now as well, because Google knows that war is coming, right? And they also know
They lost the cloud war.
Correct, because they lost the cloud war, but the regulators have their have their red dots on both Apple and Google and those mobile stores. So for Microsoft to become a player, they need IP that's going to move the market. And between things like Candy Crush, which as much as people want to laugh, in 2022, $607 million in revenue in the United States alone from Candy Crush. It's ridiculous. With Candy Crush, Call of Duty Mobile, those are two big pieces to have instantaneously accessible within your new app store, right? And that's why Google's worried. Apple's been suspiciously quiet here through this process, which is interesting to me. Maybe they don't want to draw more attention than they need right now because regulatory bodies are all over them as well. But this is going to be the next battleground, and Microsoft is serious about it. And that's why I say I believe them when a major piece of this deal is the King side of things, and probably the primary piece, right? Yeah, and then next up is PC, which is when you get Blizzard. Yeah. And they're going to make, with that piece, that's a huge.
Diablo is huge.
Diablo, World of Warcraft, bringing that back. You already heard Phil mention one of my favorites, StarCraft, coming back. Like they're going to get Blizzard. Yes, absolutely, 100%. They're going to get Blizzard back to the grand old days. At least that's their vision. And if they can do that, that makes them a huge player within the PC market, which they already have a footprint. Don't get me wrong. They certainly do. But they want to be a much bigger footprint. And that Blizzard deal is going to help them. And then you come to Activision. Listen, Call of Duty, no doubt, is a money maker. It's going to be even a bigger revenue maker. That's why they're saying we're putting it everywhere. That's why they want to grow it out like they did Minecraft. You heard in this interview when they bought Minecraft, when they bought Mojang, 20 million active users on Minecraft. Phil said 120 million active users now, ever since Microsoft took over and started pushing it into more spaces. That's exactly what they want to do with Call of Duty. But in the grand scheme of things, that's still a distant third compared to the mobile and PC side that they're acquiring through ABK.
Yeah, they're going to where the gamers are, and not everyone games on console or PC.
Nope.
A lot of people game on mobile, and so that's how they're going to reach 3 billion. That's their idea.
Exactly. And Phil said it himself about 3 years ago. He said, when we talk about Nintendo and Sony, we have a ton of respect for them, but we see Amazon and Google as the main competitors going forward. He said that about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we're
Amazon
starting to
just
see.
snatched up Tomb Raider now, right?
Yeah.
They purchased Tomb Raider.
Sad face.
So they're getting ready.
Yep.
To join this the gaming segment.
Yeah, they're doing it the right way, right, Jay? They're doing it slow, unlike Google, right? Google jumped all in at some point with Stadia, try to do everything at one time. Didn't have a proper ecosystem set up. Didn't listen to the complaints didn't have the third-party deals and failed. Whereas Amazon, Luna, they're taking it extremely slow, and now they're getting their feet wet in third-party publishing, right? They're starting to learn the industry, right? This is calculated for Amazon. They're slowly but surely expanding their reach within the games market and kind of, again, learning as they go instead of just saying, well, we're just going to come in, throw a bunch of money around and dominate.
Well,
that doesn't always work in this industry. We've seen it time and time again. Amazon's going to learn the processes, and they're doing it. Like I said, these third-party publishing deals are extremely interesting to me from Amazon.
Well, it's very difficult. Like for Google, they came into a very established area, right? Very established.
Yes.
Like Xbox came into this 20 years ago, and that they kind of could go around and splash money because the whole gaming thing was still. The industry was still establishing itself as a whole in general. The key players and stakeholders were still, I guess, some of them were in their prime. But if you're going to enter into this, you can't half-ass it when you've already got, they consider the 3 pillars for console gaming. You've got Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. You've got Steam. you've got Epic, you've got all these other places where people can choose to engage and play these titles. Google would have been smarter just to kind of go, if you want to make cloud gaming available, use our servers. That's where they could have made their revenue and their money.
Yeah,
And
they
that would have been a
oversold.
smarter move for them.
But they oversold it, under-delivered, and they didn't have a 10-year plan.
And
That's
and
their biggest problem.
yeah,
And they didn't have the stomach for failure, right? And that was the one part where they did dip their toe, was their first party stuff, when they tried to go buy some studios and they tried to put some studios together. The minute something didn't work out, they were closing down the studio, and that was it. Like, it was done. Like, nope, we're out. Nope, we're not going to do this. And then, of course, thanks to Phil Harrison, obviously, the Grim Reaper of any division. But you know, it still shows that, like, they jumped in both feet in a lot of ways, but then on that backside with the first party stuff, they just didn't have the stomach to stay in it. They really didn't, and that's what cost them in the end, in a lot of ways.
they could have just turned themselves into a publisher and put games out that
Yes.
way and made money through software. That would have been another way to kind of still recoup some losses and pull themselves out of the cloud, and then go down that road of, hey, here's our servers, do you want to use them?
Yeah,
Absolutely. I wonder if they ever approached Sony about partnering on cloud, because I think that would have been a fantastic partnership had they used the Stadia technology and approached Sony and said, look, we know you're weak here. We know that you don't have the infrastructure. We've got the infrastructure. Let's do, a PlayStation branded Stadia where we offer your games through a Stadia service, cloud service like ours. I think that would have been really interesting had they done something.
That would have
something.
been, yeah. Well,
That could
considering
still
that,
happen,
that PlayStation was shopping around after they screwed themselves with the Gaikai. They didn't actually
Yes,
innovate
yes.
or do anything great.
Do anything.
There.
Gaikai,
that-
Rackspace.
Yeah, and
Mhm,
like I'm pretty sure they were shopping around, because wasn't there rumors that they were going to Amazon and they were going to Google? Probably got shut down by those two companies because they had their plans to do their own thing. But
Right.
in order to establish yourself as cloud gaming, you should partner yourself with PlayStation in that respect. That would have been a smart move. And then they've gone and made that deal. Sony made that deal with Azure, Microsoft, and I remember
Whatever that was.
went down so well with their fan base. It's just interesting to kind of look at what's happened in the past. And it's also interesting, like we talked about it, I think last week or the week before, saying like, I know that some of the regulators are talking about how they're worried about the competition in the cloud market. But it's like, well, PlayStation kind of started it and they kind of destroyed it for themselves. So I don't think you should be looking at it from that respect. I do like that Xbox has signed that deal with Nvidia for GeForce now, so that's helping with that competition piece when you're looking at the cloud gaming market in general. But yeah, PlayStation, you've done it. We'll talk about it later when we get further into the ABK stuff, but yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, if this deal doesn't go through, Xbox is going to sell up and move, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, there's reports today that they're going to become a third.
division to PlayStation, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah, there was an article today that they're on their way to becoming a third-party publisher anyways, even if this deal goes through. Like, that's a done deal. Like, they're going to get out of the console business because the consoles aren't selling, right? So,
Yeah.
It's great that
the doom and
these
gloom out here.
journalists know more about Xbox's business strategy than Xbox does.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really
Listen, we've been hearing
Right.
those same stories for 15 years now, right? When Satya Nadella when Satya Nadella took control of the company, right? One of the first articles was, he should look into selling Xbox. I was like, damn.
That was back in 2014,
Man,
right? That article came out.
Yeah, the 2014 article. I was like, damn, already?
I mean,
Of course.
how many different ways does Xbox or Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella have to say that they're here and committed and doubling down on gaming? They're willing to spend $70 billion or $68.7 billion on this acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, how is this even a conversation? Like, they've already spent $7 billion on
Right.
the Bethesda acquisition. They've been buying
Not
up
only that,
studios.
Panda, right? Even in the latest interview with Phil Spencer, he reiterated, right, that they're going nowhere on console. Console
Yep.
will be here.
Yeah.
They're just
Yep.
expanding the ways you could play.
But
That's
people
all.
were like, he didn't quite answer it enough
Absolutely.
to kind of decide, like, if this really going to be still here. And I'm like, Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he did. He said that hardware is important.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Goalposts continue to move every
how is
time.
that
It
not
doesn't matter what he
clear?
says.
Hardware is important.
Because
That-
He
it
means
wasn't
the TV
specific
dongle,
enough.
Ashtrey. He means
Yeah.
the TV dongle.
It means the
Oh
the server blades. That's what they're talking about. The server blades. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. But why do they want Xbox to be sold all the time? It's because they're scared. They hate Xbox so much that it affects their ecosystem, and they just want it gone. But it's not happening. If they didn't sell it back in 2014 or whatever, they're not selling it now.
It just goes to show.
Satya Nadella has even said in an interview, I think it was about a year ago, maybe 2 now, he said Xbox is one of the pillars of Microsoft.
Yeah, I think they gave Phil the title to prove it. He is now the CEO of Microsoft Gaming.
Yeah.
Microsoft Gaming. Like that means that they have now looked at gaming as one of the central pillars, just like you said, Ashtrey. And that's not going to go away just because maybe they're not growing as fast as they possibly would want. Well, of course not, right? But that at the end of the day, all of a sudden, just because that's happening now, all of a sudden they're just going to throw their hands up in the air and be like, hey, we're all done. Good, yeah, that was a good run. We tried. 70 billion didn't work, so we're done here. No, that's not how this is going to go down. This is now well established. It's intertwined with the Azure server business as well as one of the greatest examples that they have in any industry, right? When they go sell Azure to other industries, you've heard Sarah Bond talk about this interview, a fascinating interview. I think it was about a year and a half ago that she talked about this. When they go sell Azure and they go to these different industries, and these industries are like, well, what can Azure do for us? Most of the time, whatever industry they're talking to has less complicated business than the video game business is. And so they can bring out the Xbox and everything that they do through the Azure servers on a business side and say, look, we're doing all of this currently on our Xbox with our Xbox business. Your business only needs these couple of things. This is how efficient we are, and we can even expand if your industry grows and you need to do more on Azure servers. It's the greatest example they have. It's the greatest seller that they have for the Azure servers right now, which, again, is another battle that they're in with Amazon for cloud, right? So that's why they're not going to give up on Xbox. That's why they're not doing any of that. This is going to continue. This is a long-term plan. Definitely not a short-term, like, hey, we tried, we're out.
Well, is it, as important as Azure isn't the Xbox division making more revenue than
Yes. It's not making. Is it
No.
making more revenue Azure overall? I think the pie chart. I can't remember the pie chart that we just got. I can't remember. I thought Azure was still bigger overall than Xbox, but Xbox is up there for sure, 100%.
I'll have to see if I can find it, but yeah.
It goes to show that there is a lot of functionality with Azure servers that it can be used in multiple ways, and I'm just so grateful that cloud gaming actually is on Xbox. I enjoy that. I actually quite often play it now. Once it became live in New Zealand, I got on it and I play it. Especially when I'm waiting to download something. It doesn't take me long to download, but I'm like, I want to get into the game now because I'm impatient. As we all know, gamers can be impatient. And I'll just sit there and play. Yeah.
And it's improved over the years that they've had it out.
Yeah.
It's still in beta. But it's really good. Like it's softer. It's a softer image, but I don't really get any screen tearing. Very minimal screen tearing like I used to. So it's definitely improving, and it must have machine learning also there to assist. But it's only going to get better as time goes on.
And I think if we didn't have Xbox around, there wouldn't. You still would want to innovate with Azure, but your focus and your scope of innovation would be a lot more limited. And as a result, there are things that you are doing in the Xbox space with Azure that can apply to other areas with other companies in using Azure, as you're kind of implying there, Pong, as well. Or even if it's at a limited scope, they're learning a lot through Microsoft using those, or Xbox using those servers for gaming.
Correct. It's a great stressor for the Azure servers because of the data transfer and all that good stuff. Like there's so much back end stuff that they're learning off of that. I did find the breakdown, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, there, yeah, 8% is what Xbox represents of their revenue, and you could say, well, that sounds kind of small. But Windows is only 12%, so it's starting to catch up to Windows at this point. Azure accounts for 34%. It is the largest portion of their revenue, with Office products being 23% behind it. So it's already driving more revenue than LinkedIn has, and that was a big investment for Microsoft. So gaming is definitely starting to grow, which we all do, right?
But like,
Yep.
as we know that Microsoft is now selling, and they're going to be third party and a publisher and that. So when are we all putting our consoles on the market to be sold? Yeah, when do you think that's happening? Next week?
They're going to be collector's items in a few years.
Oh, so keep them?
Yes, keep them.
Okay, I'm waiting for them to put cloud gaming through my Xbox mini fridge.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be so good.
You know what they should have done with that mini fridge? Just a side thing is they should have put a screen on it and have Doom, the original Doom game, playable on it. That would have been awesome.
That would be fun. I wish they would do like the Duke Cola mini fridge version for Xbox as well, because I know there's like a Duke Cola one out, branded one, but I also like an Xbox official product as well.
Just hearing you guys say all these games is crazy. That Doom, right, and Fallout, we got Elder Scrolls. Like, damn, who would have thought at the beginning of this generation, all those games will belong to Xbox first party?
If you ask PlayStation guys, never in a million years, hell will freeze over
That
first.
is
So
insane.
That's right. Those franchises are all washed up now, anyways. Bethesda hasn't been good for a long time, so they don't care about that. Call of Duty sucks anyways. We don't care about that.
Right, and now potentially Call of Duty, Diablo, and all these other Activision games.
Overwatch, World of Warcraft, for God's sake.
Did you see that article written about Baldur's Gate 3 being having more hype
bigger
than
than Starfield now?
Yes.
Oh, I nearly died.
This comes on the heels too, Panda. Panda, did you see the other article, which I've been for the past 3 weeks now, I've been having journalism rants on a lot of my shows because I'm so fed up with this. But that came on the heels of the article. I don't know if you saw, Panda, in Ashtrey, where they wrote that Starfield this was from Games Radar. Was it Games Radar? I think it was Games Radar. They had to that Starfield needs to justify why it exists, because it potentially is just going to get lost amongst all the other sci-fi games like No Man's Sky. Like, what?
No Man's Sky?
What? Yes.
But I mean, you talked about Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, and all you needed to take was the Mass Effect away from it, and it was just a generic game. That didn't justify itself as to why it was Mass Effect. I feel like Starfield is going to justify why it is a Bethesda title and why this is the IP that he's wanted to make for how many years, and he now has a chance to, Todd Howard. So I think that's going to be the deciding factor. And for those trying to downplay it, when we get the showcase for this coming up, which will give us the release date, then you're going to be very quiet in that space. We're still probably going to get people going, why is this game needed?
It's going to be torn down left and right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
We got people out here shocked. That it's number one wish listed game on Steam right now. Like, again, it's so funny that Todd Howard and the A-Team, they so rarely have a game come out that people forget what it means when a Bethesda title comes from that team. Like, people honestly forget history. Like, they all look at Fallout 76, and I don't know how many times it needs to be explained. That was not the A-Team. Yes, Todd's name was on it, but it was not the A-Team. These people just forget what kind of moment it is for gaming when a Bethesda title launches, especially on the PC side, which is their bread and butter. Now, they've obviously gained a ton of popularity on the console side as well over the years, but PC has always been their bread and butter. PC people have known about Starfield for the past 5, 6, 7 years. Ever since it was just a name floated out there, they were like, oh, what? Todd's working on another game called Starfield? Whoa. Everybody takes notice. And so, yes, a lot of people are in for the shock of their lives when Starfield actually drops. It's going to be gigantic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially when the modders get their hands on it, right?
Oh, my God.
We're going to see those Mass Effect spacecrafts and all that.
Star Trek,
SR2,
Star Wars,
SR1.
Some
Star
of the
Trek,
ships
Star Wars.
that are
Think
going to be
about it.
built are going to be
Yes.
insane.
Crazy.
Man, if
It's
they
gonna
had
be insane.
lightsabers in there, awesome.
They will.
There
That
will.
would be one
There'll
of
be
the
a
first
mod.
mods.
You saw the mod
Yes.
in Hogwarts of the person running around with a gun.
With the pistol, with
Yeah,
the gun.
with
Yeah,
the
it
gun,
was
yeah.
awesome. Think about it. They're giving modders 1,000 worlds to go to town on.
Mhm.
Again, Skyrim has been over 10 years, still getting mods. Fallout still getting brand new mod, full expansions with the London expansion that's coming out on PC later this year. People don't understand that unless you pay attention. You don't know, but Starfield's on a whole different scope, right? This is a scale that Bethesda's never done, and the modding community is just salivating at the ideas that they're going to be able to do with this for 10, 15, 20 years. We'll still be getting mods on Starfield. It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Now, Pong, going back to the media, right?
Yeah.
Did you see the article where it was talking about Sony possibly acquiring Take-Two?
Oh
And the
yeah,
source was
made up.
Oh,
the
that
source
idiot.
was one of the Twitter
Yes.
one of these Twitter insiders.
And he was like,
Yeah,
and
and
for
did-
those people who downplay me, oh, it was great.
The stock
you,
market
yeah.
has risen because of my.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because
sir,
of me. That's what I was gonna say.
They don't follow
How narcissistic do you have to be to honestly believe that you increased Take-Two stock from your little tweet? Are you kidding me right now? Are you, bro? That's on a whole nother level right there.
And when that inevitably doesn't happen, he's going to delete those tweets, or he'll say he had a bad source,
Well,
or
how
there'll
many
be some
sources did he
BS
say?
behind
He
it.
heard it from like a couple of sources or something?
Like, yeah, three
or
or something.
And I was just
This
like,
guy's the biggest troll ever. Oh my god.
but for,
There's-
Or he
there's
honestly
some-
believes it.
for people
There's got to
to
be
latch
something in the
onto it,
water that he drinks. I'm thinking.
It's pony
Potentially.
juice.
Hey, but what happened to the organic growth over there at Sony that they want Sony to go out and buy these publishers now?
Yeah, go buy
they've
the
got
Take
to.
Two, which is established already. Yep.
Right.
Sony can raise some capital, but the fact to come out and say Take-Two would even want to sell at this point when they've got Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon is absolutely insane, and you don't understand a thing about business. You think
That wasn't
Strauss
even
is
the
over there
worst one,
active?
Pong.
Can I
Right.
He said they were going to buy Embracer.
can I
Yeah.
can I just say that Sony's going to need to raise some capital because they're not going to have Call of Duty on their platform anymore once the Activision deal goes through. No matter how many times Phil states that the game is going to be on PlayStation, they are going to have no money to fund their first party titles. PlayStation is going to have to fundraise.
Right, they are.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they'll go fund me. Maybe they'll start a Patreon. All their fans can sign up for Patreon and help them.
Yeah.
Build their Twitter
They
pages.
would do it though. They'd be like, "Oh, you're charging us more for console. Okay, cool. You're charging us more for games. All right, you're now charging us to play for playing online. We're more than happy to pay for everything else for you as well, PlayStation, because that's the only reason why you're still here."
Help us kickstart our next God of War game. everybody. Next Sony move.
Well, that's essentially what COD was doing for them, right? Funding
Right.
their games.
Right.
But
They-
J-Rock,
Supposedly.
They should,
J-Rock,
they should
was
come
it-
out with a commercial. Support God of War by playing Call of Duty.
oh my god, they should have it in in black and white and slow music, and it's all sad and dreary and shit. But hey, just a quick question: so was it the same guy that had that Sony will buy Take-Two? Was it the same guy that said
Same guy.
that they'd buy Embracer Group?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, he needs to be in a hospital of some sort with padded walls because that guy's insane.
Trust me, bro. Trust me.
Man, that's just
Hey, he said anybody that goes into his comment section with that "trust me, bro" comment is getting blocked.
Yeah, that's what he
And
said.
they did. He did. He went on a mass blocking spree for sure.
I didn't get blocked because I was like, why bother replying to this guy? He's
Right,
clearly
right.
delusional. Let him have his moment, and then he'll delete his account later.
far out. That's just crazy. These people exist. These people exist. We should probably continue on with the FTC denied Sony's motion and ordered the company to produce documents requested by Microsoft's subpoena. So obviously they asked for a lot of information from Sony, who decided to postpone it constantly. I think after the fourth one, the FTC said, no, now you've got to cough up the documents. However, they don't have to provide all of the documents. which, okay, whatever. They should, but whatever. The main part though is that they now have to show us what their exclusivity deals have been over the last, what is it, 5 years or so, up
No,
until now.
just January 2019 till now, so
2019.
just over 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, well, 2019 was a long time ago. But yeah, so still 3 years of exclusivity deals that they've got to show up until now. So we'll I don't know how much of that they'll actually become public, but that's still going to show them.
You know,
their
leaks are
underhanded
going to
deals.
happen.
Hopefully, unless they're redacted though. So yeah.
The
What do you guys think of
interesting part
this?
of the whole thing, right, was that they will have to show how much they pay to block games from going onto Game Pass.
Exactly. Now
2019,
that's
right?
Andy.
That's
Yeah.
the scope
Yeah.
from 2019 to present.
Yep. So that's anti-competitive right there, right?
Doesn't that tell us that it isn't a suspicion or conspiracy theory that they actually do spend money to block games from going on to
I think we've
rival
seen.
services?
We saw
think
that
we've
with
actually seen
RE8 Village. We saw
right.
that contract deal, but you got to think about it. They're in talks to acquire ABK, right? Bobby Kotick and all of that team would have obviously been telling Microsoft about some of the stuff that's going on. And so you got to know that they're aware of a lot of this anyway. And as a result, they know if requesting this documentation is going to bear fruits as a result, because they're hearing it from those acquisitions that they've got or acquiring. Yeah.
Now, that brings up an interesting point, Panda. Why would you spend money to block games from going onto a service that devs, publishers don't want and is unsustainable? Wouldn't you allow it to just run its course and die normally?
Yeah. You think
Why would I waste money on that?
because Xbox is competition. They saw them in the 360 days. They saw what Call of Duty did. They understand, and they've doubled down on making sure that they could limit Xbox's scope and around how big they could grow within the market.
That's
By
what Phil
doing
said. They want to
this-
grow by limiting us.
Yes, and this is the evidence that's going to come out of this, is the proof that they have been doing that. And then you want to talk about the people going, oh, it's so unfair that Microsoft is doing this, it's not fair to competition, and they're talking about competition. When you go and look into the documentation that is no doubt inevitably going to come out of this, what should show is that Sony has been trying to control how the competition has been going this whole time. And in their favour, in regards to, because they say they don't see Microsoft as a competitor, but they clearly do, or else you wouldn't go out, as you're saying, J-Rock, and try and limit those deals. And I'm wording myself today, guys, but
Just today?
yeah, just
Limit
today,
games
every day,
coming to Game
every
Pass,
day.
right.
But yeah, they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't see Microsoft as a
As a threat.
As a threat, yeah, they know that there's big pockets there, and I feel like Sony has gone too far with this, and as a result, because you have to, if you're going to make claims and it's going to go to court, you have to support those claims. And as a result, Microsoft has asked for a whole heap of things. Yes, it's been limited in some of the scope. Some things were denied. Most of it was granted in favor of Microsoft. But now there's the evidence to prove, is Sony telling us the truth around what they've found out to go, why they don't want this deal to go ahead? Or are they just saying that because they're really, really, really trying to stop it and trying to get a better deal through Microsoft? I feel like they've bitten off more than they can chew. And I don't think this it limited it in scope. It didn't limit it in enough scope for PlayStation. I feel like they're still going to come out looking worse off as a result. And those who are saying
the Final Fantasy deal is included.
And for those saying like PlayStation got exactly what they wanted out of it, I'm like, no, they didn't. If they got what they wanted out of it, it all would have been denied, all of it.
Yeah. Now, call me naive, but blocking games from going onto Game Pass within a contract sounds so illegal to me. Obviously, it's not,
Right.
but it should be, because that is
It sounds
definitely
very anti-consumer.
Limiting, yeah,
it does.
anti-consumer, yes.
Absolutely.
100%, J-Rock. I've said all along that this could be Sony's Pandora's box that they've
Yep.
opened up.
Yep.
Again, this industry flew under the
Radar.
flew under the radar for a very long time, right? With the
Mhm.
regulatory bodies. The last time we had this much government intervention was during the ratings back in the 90s, right? With Mortal Kombat and
Mortal
all that kind of
Kombat.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Since that point, again, nobody was here crying and screaming over Sega going away, right? When Sega fell apart, nobody was around to ask questions then. So Sony's done something to this industry that they might live to regret at some point. And in the short term, with this right here, if the FTC winds up continuing forward with this case, and these documents have to be provided through discovery, then this could definitely be something where regulatory bodies now have a much better education on what this industry is about. And when this is all done, when the ABK's deal is done, that doesn't mean the regulatory bodies, from everything that they've learned, can't come back and say, you know what, Sony, come on over. Come on back. We got to
Mhm.
sit down and talk about some of your practices, because we are supposed to be worried about our, the consumers within our countries, right? We're supposed to be protecting our consumers. And some of the things that we found out about you guys doesn't sound the best for those consumers, right? Doesn't
Right.
sound like you've been necessarily making decisions based upon what's going to be great for everybody. And that's going to come to light in a lot of these documents. I think even more interesting than even the exclusivity deals, which again,
The
we
Jim Ryan
know,
piece.
yeah, the emails.
Yeah.
They're getting emails
Mhm.
from Jim Ryan. They're also getting emails from some of the heads over at Sony in Japan.
Any
which,
draft ones
uh,
that were drafted and not necessarily
yes.
sent? They're asking for drafts as well.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
So
And
you know who Sony hired, right? To take care of the emails? Hillary Clinton.
right. Exactly. Because when you go through, I'm sure their attorneys knew that this was a potential downfall, right? That this could be a pitfall to them, and they fought hard against it. They tried to come up with some crazy things like, oh well, those emails are in Japanese, and it's going to be very hard for us to find the ones that you want. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Translation
they
software.
tried
Use
everything.
Google.
Exactly. But we all know that when you are sending emails, and I don't see Jim Ryan as anything but an email guy. I doubt he's doing much communication in other ways.
Right.
I see him as an old school kind of guy. When you're a company or corporation like Sony, you're never expecting to have to turn over those emails. And so when you email back and forth with corporate, other corporate offices within your company, you're using much more plain language than you would if you knew those emails were going to be seen. So I think that component might shed even more light. Now, whether or not we ever get to see him publicly again, that's going to be something that Sony has to fight. They will be made public record unless Sony can convince the judge that they need to be sealed. Otherwise, we probably will get some redacted versions. But as we saw in Epic v. Apple, things get leaked, like Jay said. Things pop out that weren't supposed to be there. We weren't supposed to see the Capcom contract, right? But we got to see the Capcom contract. So that's where I think this gets really interesting. But again, at the end of the day, this is the perfect example of F around and find out, right? This could be that moment where a lot of people look at Sony differently and say, you know what? You brought a lot of heat on our industry now. Like, we understand you had to protect your business, but you guys cried a little too loud here.
Now there's a lot of
now we got
scrutiny.
now we got these regulatory bodies coming down on us as well, right? Tencent right away said, no, push the deal through. We're fine. We're cool. Why? Because they're planning on doing more deals, right? 2K, Strauss was like, nah, we're good. We're good. We're not going to talk bad. Yeah, Embracer, everybody outside of Sony and Google, well, and NVIDIA for a while, but we know NVIDIA was payback.
Even the unions are behind it because of how it actually looks after the workers.
Workers, right? Exactly. So I think Sony, this could be a moment for Sony that they regret long term.
100%.
Again, I understand why they did it. You got to protect your number one spot any way you can. You don't care what other people think, but if the regulatory bodies decide to start looking at this a little bit harder, this entire industry, maybe exclusivity deals are next on the list of things to find out whether or not we think that's fair. Right?
Well, Pong, they've probably tarnished quite a lot of relationships that they've had.
I mean, looking
And
at
are they
what's happening with Call
repairable?
of Duty, yeah.
Right. Well, the Activision Blizzard one is burned to the ground, right? They burn that. I don't care what anybody says. They've gone scorched earth. Activision Blizzard will never even if this deal falls through and people could say money talks, guess what? They've got a new partner in Microsoft that's got a bigger bank that will overpay to get those marketing rights back. They'll be more than happy to turn around and give those to Microsoft. They scorched that one.
You look at that talking point that they made about how this isn't really looking after their gamers for the PlayStation side, and then no doubt coming out of those deals that we're going to see, you're going to see how much PlayStation has really paid to really look after their own gamers, but really disadvantage every other platform gamer that isn't playing on PlayStation.
Well,
and that's going to come out of it going, and as I was saying, anti-competitive right there.
Do you think they've tarnished their public perception too?
I think for Xbox gamers who actually like Xbox, and some PC gamers and even some Nintendo gamers, yes, because it's now coming out and PlayStation is having to air their dirty laundry as a result. Like, if you're going to double down on this, you better be prepared for things to not go your way and have to share the details that you're probably not prepared to. And I don't think PlayStation was fully prepared to actually air their dirty laundry.
Absolutely not. And I think for the masses, though, I think the masses don't pay attention to this. If the
casuals, no.
The casuals, the mass. If the IGNs of the world were actually doing their job and actually writing honest articles about this stuff, you're right. If they were doing honest work and writing articles that weren't biased or headlines
or
that
just
weren't
opinion
biased,
pieces, and they don't actually announce that they're opinion pieces.
Mm-hmm. Correct. If they address this the way they should be, as the biggest deal in gaming history, as something that will, that's why I'm fascinated by this. That's why I don't get sick of talking about this topic, is because when we look back, this is going to shape the industry going forward one way or another, right? There's going to be a lot of ramifications, whether it goes through or whether it falls apart. So if the video game journalists were taking it as serious as some of us do and actually doing their job, then the masses might be hearing some of this stuff about Sony. But right now, they've done a great job of covering up for Sony. They've done a great job of wording their articles and their titles as such that Sony isn't really getting tarnished here. Like, there hasn't been the true, honest, pieces out there talking about exactly what Sony's been doing behind the scenes all these years. Even if we do get that knowledge, will IGN write about it and say, oh, there's been some, shady exclusivity deals from Sony? No, we're not going to see those pieces from these journalists out here.
That's why I watch Brad Sams, and I also watch Destin, because Destin's breaking it down heavily in the deal and talking about how this will negatively impact Microsoft or negatively impact Sony, and he's being very fair about it and allowing people to understand the deal as it is, not the deal that the media is generally trying to portray it as Microsoft being this big bad, and also how
Microsoft is Goliath, PlayStation is David.
Where it's actually
money-wise,
yes, but reality is other way around.
Sony in this deal is the bully that is now crying to mum and dad, saying, "Oh, look, they're hitting me now. They're hitting me with their
hit me back. They hit me back. Oh my god,
they broke my nose." How long do you think Jim Ryan's going to be around to hit a PlayStation?
I reckon after this deal is done, it won't be long until he's moved on or leaves or something.
If the deal doesn't go through, we all have to sell our Xbox, as you know, because Xbox
I'm not selling anything.
Xbox is gone, right? As soon as the deal doesn't go through, it's going to go through. It has to go through. It just seems inevitable. Yes, they're going to be the concessions that will be made. I at least think it's definitely going to go in EU and the States.
Right, and Paul makes an excellent point, right? These documents, when they come out, they could also affect PlayStation's future acquisitions, right? They were like, wait a minute.
Absolutely.
You're not going to buy Embracer. We have your documentation. And this is not going through. No. This wouldn't be fair to competition.
Or Take-Two,
Or Take-Two.
And that's the thing. Sony want to acquire more businesses. So does Xbox. So does Microsoft. So they and so does every other player. Let's be honest. So this has really probably upset a lot of businesses out there to the point where it will be interesting to see if the rest of the industry sort of turns their back on Sony. It may not happen from a consumer point of view because, like you guys said, the the casuals, the majority of people out
brand is
there
very
aren't
strong,
aware
yeah.
of it, but the industry, might not see it that way, and kind of like a bit of an FU to them, and saying, well, you're going to try and screw us all over like that. We don't really want to deal with you. So it
I'm
could
sure
have
there'll be a few
repercussions
more
from that side.
I'm sure there'll be a few more people rooting for Microsoft to succeed, to give them a reason to start doing more deals with Microsoft than with Sony. I think there'll be some people that maybe they don't speak it out loud, right? But they'll be secretly rooting for Microsoft to make Game Pass work, to make cloud work, to take the lead in a lot of those areas, right? So that those companies can then go, hey, Sony, it's been really great working with you, but you know what? We're going to start making a deal over here, right? And I think that definitely will be happening behind the scenes for sure, if it's not front facing.
Yeah, Pong, because of optics now, right?
Correct.
Before these all these documentations is that all these developers and publishers, they deal with Sony only because, right, they get the most support. They're the biggest brand out there, and they just love PlayStation. Those are the optics out there, right? That's the rhetoric we hear from these outlets. But if it comes out, right, that the only reason they're even dealing with Sony is because basically Sony is strong-arming them or money-hatting most of the projects, that paints a very different picture of reality.
I think
Absolutely.
Sorry, go.
I was just going to say, and it hasn't really been working for them lately now, has it? I mean, again, we spoke about Forspoken earlier. They money-hatted that, and it hasn't done well.
Marvel's
so
Avengers.
people, there's quite a few, I'm sure, you guys can come up with. And they're like, well, hang on a second. This used to work, and now it's not really working anymore for us.
Callisto Protocol?
We're not seeing game sales. We're not seeing the revenue come through anymore. Why should we make it exclusive to your platform?
Yeah.
So the tides are turning on that anyway.
I reckon if they had kept it at $60 for titles in the US, you would see a lot more revenue. I reckon that is also a deciding factor, which they're not willing to admit, that they're wrong on $70 titles. And I think Microsoft shouldn't have gone to $70 titles either. But I guess... Sorry, Ashtrey, did I cut you off?
No, you're right. You're good.
I was just going to go back into something that I think Pong was mentioning about perception, is of looking at it from the conversations that we're having. When the actual documents drop and we get to start seeing what's been going on and we're talking about it, it's going to be really interesting to see those people who die by the sword of PlayStation try and defend this, because they're already trying to defend it. But their defense arguments are very much going to be the same thing that's been happening on the Microsoft side, and they're just thinking it's unfair that Microsoft is doing it, even though PlayStation's been doing it for years. It's going to really be interesting to see what happens in those spaces, because we're going to find a lot of frauds that are already there that we can just outright...
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm looking forward
to...
The
goalposts are going to move. The goalposts will just move once again.
100%. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this, because I find it entertaining as hell to them complain about what Microsoft is doing and saying, pulling titles off this, and we're going to have the evidence going, well, PlayStation's been doing this for how long? And you guys, Starfield was never announced to be coming on PlayStation, and it's been taken away, but there are plenty of titles that have been taken away from Microsoft or Xbox because of PlayStation. So how are you going to justify your arguments around this deal when it's going to be evidently clear that PlayStation has been doing this forever? The same thing.
Yep.
They're just going to cry.
They'll simply say, not the same. It's just not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same when it's PlayStation.
It's not the same. It's not. It's not. Microsoft is $1 trillion company. It's not the same.
Yeah. I think I'm going to need a lot of popcorn. It's going to be really entertaining to watch these people bend over backwards to try and justify what PlayStation's been doing.
Popcorn and sugar
right.
cubes
There's people like Jay out there. Jay will keep
yeah.
him honest, as he always does. So, and many others
got the
out
receipts.
Yep.
Yeah. We all know how that's going to pan out. It's just ridiculous. No, it's just crazy.
Just want to quickly shout out to
now
the
what
chat.
do you think? What do you think about these regulatory bodies, right? Thinking that they're developers with statements that, oh, Call of Duty can't run on the Switch. Really? How do you know?
Well, two things.
Because
to that.
Sony told
The
us.
Witcher can.
Sony told us.
Right.
Well, exactly
Right,
right.
The Witcher
So
Doom could run on the Switch.
anything's possible. And two, Microsoft never said Switch; they said Nintendo.
Nintendo. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So that just means that it could be something that goes forward. So whatever's after the Switch, which it's got to be fairly close to a new console soon. It's been out for ages.
You don't think that
That-
Microsoft isn't aware of what's happening in that space if they're offering
exactly.
that deal? Yeah.
Exactly.
They've gotta know.
Exactly.
Be back in 30 seconds, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well,
So
what-
yeah, they didn't use the word Switch whatsoever. They said Nintendo, and they said that specifically and purposefully. To leave the word Switch out. So, and the contract might be, whatever the date is, it could be today, whatever, and it's going forward, not backwards. So it doesn't have to be available on current platform because it probably might not be able to run it, but anything going forward. So that's just another BS argument that people come up with anyway.
Just very quickly, shout out to the chat. Thank you so much. You're watching episode 90 of the Gamers Initiative podcast. We've got J-Rock here as a guest. We have we have Pong Soul as a guest, and we have myself and Ashtrey Gaming as per usual. # delete elite. And yeah, but it's always we always love engaging with the chat and having you guys here. Any chance to talk gaming, I think, is an excuse, and I'm always up for it. But yeah, some good topics this week. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for that, Red. Haven't done a shout out to the chat for a while, and a bit of a reset, so that's good to see. We're running it on Red's channel, which is a bit different than usual, but Elite couldn't make it because we blocked him and told him to fuck off.
He's real
Nah,
toxic,
kidding.
so
You guys did the right thing.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It's usually a lot messier, right?
Oh, that is so much messy. We love you, Elite. We do.
I think we got. Do we have one more topic left, Red?
Yes, the PC Game Pass preview that is available for insiders is going out to 40 new countries. You and I messaged each other, and I didn't realize that when it originally launched, it was very much limited in scope. I actually thought it went everywhere.
Yeah, I assumed that as well. Honestly, I thought, oh well, it's just everywhere. I didn't know it was a rollout period either. So it's good to see that 40 more countries have access to this now. And again, must have been a bit of a strategic thing so that one, it doesn't overload any servers, etc. But at the same time, it's probably got a lot to do with, their family plan that they're probably going to announce soon and all that kind of stuff. So, but giving access to more people in more countries is nothing but a good thing, in my opinion. Now, I put this topic last just because I didn't want to end the show on FTC talk.
Yeah.
And just have something a bit sort of different. And
we're not
positive to talk
ending on
about.
the cool Star Wars themed, Mandalorian themed consoles, because I will sell my sister I live with for one.
They look awesome, huh?
Yeah.
I want that Series S.
They
Series S.
both look stunning.
Grogu?
They do.
Oh my.
And it's only through a sweepstakes, right?
Yeah.
Sell
Yeah.
it. Just
I think
sell
that
it.
was a lost opportunity right there. Yeah, just sell it to the masses.
Imagine those consoles leading into like end of year sales, like for Christmas and such. The amount of people buying that would be
The
insane.
Grogu controller too? Oh man.
I think it's
With the little sweater?
little sweater. Sorry to kind of take away the topic.
No, you're right.
I would like to just be like go to Microsoft and just beg, and like I said, sell my sister for this. Not my twin, the sister I live with. I'll sell her for one of these. She doesn't listen to this, so I'm safe. But the other sister does. Sarah will agree with me.
She's gonna clip it and send it to her.
Probably. But yeah, before we kind of talk about that, but what are your thoughts on this PC Game Pass preview being made available to 40 more countries, or 40 new countries that it wasn't previously available to? J-Rock, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's great because some of the countries on the list, right? If you check their infrastructure, right, like their internet infrastructure, they're outpacing some places like Mexico. And Mexico is a big country for Xbox.
Yep.
So you see countries like Egypt, right, on this list. Egypt is one of the biggest cities in North Africa, right? Mm-hmm. with a great population, getting Game Pass in those type of regions, I think will just bolster the service and increase the numbers of subscribers. I think it's great. And you got other places like Costa Rica on the list. You got Ecuador. So a lot of places here that their infrastructure is up and rising, and I think that is a beautiful opportunity to get Game Pass in those regions.
And help with localization in those regions as well, and make that a focus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because a lot of that's South America and Middle East areas.
Yeah.
So it's
you got
targeted,
Qatar,
isn't it?
Yeah. Morocco now is gonna get Game Pass.
Good.
Like these regions are ripe for the picking.
And they're probably not big Xbox areas, except for South America, which seems to be. But in terms of console, but all these countries will have
America,
PC,
the biggest
right?
regions, I believe, is Brazil and Mexico for Xbox.
These new markets are where they know that PC is heavily kind of embedded and ingrained in those markets. So that's
what I reckon as well.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, and it'll help in that respect. If they're not going to get it through console sales, they might as well get it through access through the subscription through PC.
Absolutely.
Pong, any thoughts on this end for yourself?
Yeah. Look, Microsoft's one of their weak spots is worldwide. And they've got to do a better. You brought it up, Panda. Localization is still a huge issue, even at this point, which is sad to say. You see people all the time talk about it. Their marketing worldwide has not been good. We talk about their marketing a lot, and it is one of their biggest weaknesses, surprisingly, for a corporation as big as Microsoft. And I know we're just talking about Xbox, but I'm just saying, as a worldwide corporation that is known worldwide, obviously through Windows and Office and all these other things, for one of their brands as big as Xbox, is potentially going to be, that they are still so weak in those areas. It's just shocking to me. So this is a big move, obviously. And again, I think that, Ashtrey, you were right. A lot of it's going to have to do with the family plan that they're going to be opening up and trying to draw more people in. But they've got to back this up with marketing, with localization. They've got to get better. I talk to Boxenberger all the time. And over in Germany, Xbox to this day still isn't advertised anywhere. It's still like this. It's like 90% PlayStation or more, according to Boxenberger. He's still one of the only guys he knows that owns an Xbox over in Germany, right? So they've got to somehow figure this out. And that's obviously something that Sony, for decades upon decades has built when they were, one of the world's largest or the world's largest electronics manufacturer. They learned how to do that. They took over the world. Again, so some younger people might not know how big Sony was when it was the Walkman. The Walkman was everywhere, right? They learned
absolutely.
And then the Discman.
They learned the Discman, right? I had one of the first Discman as well. Or the first Discman. That's when Sony, really cut their teeth on marketing and figured out how to do this worldwide, even though they were a company based out of one of the smallest countries in the world, in Japan, right? So it's very interesting to watch this dynamic. We always think of Microsoft as so titanic, but they've got all these little holes in their business, that just doesn't make sense. It's like, how do you guys not grasp this concept? So hopefully this is another step in that direction. To J-Rock's point too, as far as like Egypt and in the Middle East, Africa as well. We know now Microsoft has actually opened up, a shop within Africa, right? To try to go. Yeah, in South Africa, try to start getting the devs. Like, that's going to be an emerging market down the road, right? That's going to be untapped talent that nobody has really developed at all. So it's fantastic that they got their footprint already down there, and they're going to be looking at that market. But again, one piece is not the entire puzzle, and you got to get all the other pieces working together. So localization, marketing, all that stuff has to come into play at some point. Quality control, all of it has to be there.
Do you know, for example, Pawn in Japan, right? There's some games. I don't know if it's some first party or third party, but on Xbox, right? Their games don't even have Japanese subtitles or Japanese voice acting, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But Korea, it's limited to the PlayStation, the PlayStation versions. That is insane.
Absolutely.
If I was
Middle
Japanese,
East.
I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't buy an Xbox if I was
Right.
Japanese. If that was the case.
Why? Right, exactly. No, that's a fact, and it's been something that's been spoken about constantly, J-Rock. This is nothing new. Like this is something that Microsoft has faced for a long time, and like I said, 2023, we're still talking about it. It's insane to me. I see people on Twitter all the time from the Middle East say, "Hey, Xbox, we need some localization here. Come on. We need these games to support our languages. What's going on?" So yeah, I think that is next a big step for Microsoft. But again, I broke away from the original topic. Which
That's
is
okay.
the
No, it
PC
kind
Game
of
Pass
is in
going to
line
40
with that.
countries. It is. I think, like I said, it's one piece. It's great to see them expanding that out. It was kind of shocking to me that there was that many places without PC Game Pass being included at this point.
Yeah.
But now that it's out there, yeah, no, fantastic. That's great. Again, what are you doing for those people in those areas that may not be English speakers or may not be able to get one of those language choices that the games do offer? What are you doing specifically for those countries? That's the next piece I think they got to put into place.
They're just going to have Bing sass them.
Even in Australia here, we barely get any Xbox advertising. The last I remember on buses and stuff was Halo Infinite launch.
Yeah,
that was it.
Right.
I don't see any ads on, and we've all heard this before, but I don't see it on Twitter. Don't see anything on YouTube. I always see PlayStation ads. Never
right
any
before an
Xbox
Xbox
ads.
video, you get a PlayStation
always.
ad.
It's crazy, and that's the other thing is like on the Xbox channel on YouTube, they always releasing trailers for games. Cut those down into 10-second ads and make them all over the place. Like I just don't get why they don't do it. And the other thing is that Microsoft as a company, they never really advertised Microsoft Excel and their platform in Windows, did they? It was just shipped on PCs everywhere, and it got around the world. So they've probably, or they've never really had to advertise, is what I'm trying to get at, and so they sort of see it as, well, we just do it and it goes there, but it doesn't. They, in gaming, they need to have their presence, and they need to have posters up, and they need to have things on walls and buses and on different devices.
Especially
coming
when
up
you've got such
with ads.
dominant marketing from other competitors. Nintendo has better marketing, hell of a lot better marketing than Xbox does in that space. So it's really important.
And this goes back to what we said, Panda, about the whole Grogu console, right?
Yeah.
Like, just release that to the masses.
Missed opportunity,
Those things will sell like hotcakes. Trust me.
100%.
They do it with their controllers. I don't understand why the consoles. There's something weird going on with the consoles anyway.
Right.
So we know there's a lot of Series S out there. The Series X, what's going on? Because there's not.
You can't find it at
you
the
still
moment,
can't find them. You can't. And at
I've
this
got two.
point, again, it should be out there. Yeah, you got two. No wonder why. Ashtrey's
Considering-
buying them all up.
Considering what was the last one that they did? Was it it was the Halo edition, right? Was the last one that they did for the Series X? You've got this beautiful one for Star Wars. And Star Wars is massive, just like Harry Potter. Themed console would have been great. Yeah. I wish that with or with Hogwarts that it was a Play Anywhere title. Like buy it on PC or
like
buy it on console,
Panda.
and then you could have choose to play on whichever platform. And your saves would be, if you wanted to play on PC, your save would be there. And if you wanted to play on console, your save would be available there through the cloud. And I think that would have been a great way to kind of market against PlayStation and their exclusive mission or quest that they had. But yeah, that game did amazing, and that actually was marketed very well, minus the
for example, the Mandalorian has had a 2-year break, Panda, right?
Yep.
In those 2 years, you're telling me you couldn't like make 1 million of each and just hold off on them, and then just release it with the launch of with the premiere of the show?
I would have probably tried to find out how I could have bought another console, even though I don't need one.
Yeah, what? I would have sold the ones. I would have sold the ones I had.
Yeah,
and rebought those.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Next big test.
Did you see Grogu's little jacket?
Oh, it's so cute.
The next big test is going to be Starfield, right? If they don't have custom
Yes.
consoles for
Oh,
Starfield.
come on, Pawn. They have to do something with Starfield.
Oh man, you'd like to think so, and people have pointed that out as one of the reasons why we marchers are crazy is because they have to have custom consoles ready. I just don't see it, right? I just don't see Xbox coming through. I'd love to say, yeah, absolutely 100%. I believe they're going to have it. I just don't. I just don't think we're going to see those custom consoles, which is a miss. It's another big miss.
Considering how easy those consoles would be to put designs on, just based on the shapes. Yeah, it is a completely missed opportunity. And for
Sony's missing too.
So yeah.
PlayStation's missing out too, right? Their first official custom console plates are LeBron James stickers. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like where's your
Debrand.
God of War? Why aren't you putting exactly? Why aren't you putting Spider-Man everywhere?
Well, okay.
Like those things would sell like hotcakes.
They didn't do a console version for God of War, right? But they did that controller, and that controller looked mid at best.
Terrible.
And then you see Pope Art doing a God of War controller that's 1,000 times better. And it's like, there are people out here who can do a great job, and they should be the ones designing them, and then it should be easy enough to kind of get it out manufacturing that way. But someone, Radiance96, who said advertisement can be a waste of money, can be used to fund games instead. You need the fan base first, and you're going to get that through advertisement. And they need to go back to the basics, back to the grassroots, and advertise the hell out of it and take over that market share. And then they're going to get the people who are going to see what's going to come out of the ABK deal and see how anti-consumer PlayStation really is, as well as anti-competitive.
The main reason why the PlayStation is the go-to console is because that's what people know, because it's in advertising. You walk through GameStop or EB Games, and it's always PlayStation. I get EB Games emails to give me updates on stuff, and they talked about the Destiny, the new DLC or whatever for that, and it was PlayStation. I was like,
considering
what?
It's owned by Microsoft, it's interesting.
No, Destiny's now.
No. I think EB Games was part of that GameStop deal.
Oh. Yeah, well,
Yeah, where they helped them out, where they gave them devices. Advertising can be a waste, and I'm not, again, in 2023, it's different nowadays, but look at, Sony didn't need to advertise God of War. They sold 12 million copies, but what do they do after the launch? They go on this big promotional tour worldwide, where they're bringing the hammer, and they're showing up doing those fake news stories about, oh my God, this thing appeared out of the blue, right? All over the entire world.
Right.
No, that's not cheap. Right? Super Bowl, exactly. That as well. That's not cheap. They didn't need to do it for God of War, but it's still effective to some degree if you do it right. And that's the thing that Microsoft, again, just hasn't figured out yet, especially with Xbox. It just hasn't.
And Pong, every one of those Halo consoles sold out. You can't find those consoles.
You can if you go to Ashtrey's house and steal it.
Right. Yeah, we could do that. Same
No,
thing goes for that
absolutely.
controller.
Again, yeah, even if you don't want to do it on a mass, and I know it costs money, the less you make, obviously, the more it costs. But do limited edition runs. Do it. See how it goes. If the demand, you're going to see what the demand's like. So all of a sudden, you do a second run, right? You just do it the old school way. Sell it until you can't sell it anymore. Try it out. See what customs work, what custom consoles don't work. Again, I think it's just another lost opportunity for free advertising to get, a new idea out there. It works with their controllers. Look at how many people are controller addicts, right?
Yep.
Every time they come out with a new controller, they got to go get it, right? We see people's collections of that.
9 controllers,
right.
So yeah, I definitely understand it.
Damn.
Right. And see, I'm one of the people that don't. But what I'm saying is the opportunity's there for your consoles to promote some of your biggest games with custom consoles, whether they're limited edition or not. The word gets out there. It's just another advertising round. That's all it is. Why they don't do it, I don't get it.
Well, I think
let's go back to the 360 days, man. They had so
right,
many
with the
custom
faceplates.
consoles.
Faceplates.
The face plates. Everybody thought it was dumb, and then it turned out to be a great idea, right? Who didn't like the Gears of War
They had
faceplate?
that cool
Right? Who didn't like the Halo
R2D2
and now look who's doing plates for their console.
Yep.
PlayStation.
C3PO one. Yep, they are. They're selling the plates.
Hey, Debrand is doing a better job, guys. So just
Yes,
saying.
they are. They're doing a much better job.
Airflow wise, 100%. But I mean, that's why I'm kind of glad that Bethesda, yes, they're under Microsoft, but they're still publishing
Doing
their
their own
games
thing.
specifically. They're going to be marketing their titles, and they have a history of marketing their titles really well. And that is going to be like, I don't know how that's going to be with the ABK deal. I assume because it's still a publisher that they're going to have that same right to do their marketing their way. Yeah. So hopefully that means that, yes, they're getting the revenue streams, but they might pick up a thing or two from those publishers about marketing.
I did see some speculation that maybe once the ABK deal goes through, it's potentially, Activision Blizzard could take over marketing side of things for Xbox.
That would
We
be
kind of
great.
thought that
Fingers
it would be great.
crossed.
But we did kind of think about that. We thought about that too when Bethesda came on board. Like, oh, well, hey, maybe Bethesda will start doing Xbox marketing because they are so good at it. And you could see that Xbox has picked up some things. The developer direct, I think, was a direct influence from Bethesda, and I
That
think
was
that
so well
was one of the
done.
changes they made. It was incredibly well done.
And
Like,
now
the
look at
best
that
thing I've
state
seen
of
on Xbox
play.
One. Right, exactly. So
Oh, my Lord.
yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of benefits from both. We're already seeing some from the ZeniMax deal, but I also think the ABK deal will help a lot in that area as well in
Yeah.
the long term. So,
Now, can you imagine a Doom custom Xbox?
right, why not?
Mm-mm-mm.
Why not?
The Gears of War ones were really great.
Yeah.
They were really good,
They're
especially that
The Halo
Those
ones
sold
were
out.
awesome.
especially that
Yeah,
S,
those
which
sold out.
looked like the ice on it, on the One S.
Mm-hmm.
That looked really cool. Even the Elite controller for the series, the first one where they had that, they had the Gears of War one with the laser etched scratches into it, and even they've just done a really good job previously around that. And if they want to start selling, Series X's, put out a custom console. People are gonna
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That might be why we're not seeing consoles at the moment. They've got a whole heap of customs coming. Fingers
Could have been
crossed.
holding them back for Starfield. They
Yeah,
could have been
that's
holding them
true.
back. That's one of the, it certainly could be. They could be going on a blitz with Starfield, and they held back a lot of the stock just to make sure that they have enough.
There might be
It's
a
certainly
lot-
possible.
There might be some
If-
more stock
yeah.
coming out around Redfall's release as well. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe, but they definitely have to have a custom console for Starfield. I mean, that's going to be a generational game. If they don't,
Yeah.
that's a massive fail.
Mm-hmm.
If not at launch, then by the holiday, you got to have one for sure.
Absolutely.
And everybody starts buying again. 100%.
Do you still think it's coming in March?
Yeah. I'm still on the train until it's not. I've hedged
damn.
that bet with April. 100%. I've hedged that bet for a while with April. I think April's a great spot. It's still wide open in the first couple weeks. But yeah, it all makes sense. Again, it's not a crazy theory. It falls in line. They did this with Oblivion. Oblivion followed the same path, and they launched it within 18 days
Was it-
of announcing it again. So
damn.
it's certainly possible, and Bethesda's weird like that. Todd is different like that. He has a different mentality, and if they are running things, I think it's a possibility.
Was it
Like I
rumored-
said, at the end, go ahead.
I was going to say, was it rumored this week or next week that we're meant to publish?
Yeah, we were
the
supposed to
date?
get something this week, which was a
Yeah.
little disappointing. A lot of people said that they had heard this week. Next week,
Probably.
obviously, March is running out of time. I mean, I'm not stupid. At the end of the day, like I said, this is not an insider thing. None of the people like myself, Steel, Fun, we don't claim to be insiders. We don't have inside knowledge on this. Like, this is not a clout thing. This was just looking at the first 6 months of the year and trying to figure out where they would drop it. As long as it drops by the end of June, I'm a happy camper. I really don't care. If they miss the mark, well, we're going to have some conversations because it looks like Forza is going to miss the mark. Again, we're going to have some conversations about whether or not this is a bad look. But I think that I'm still highly confident they get this done in the first half. So that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Very good. I think we're done here, guys.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I really want that Grogu sweater though. Yeah, for my controller.
You won't
Now,
fit into it.
Did you
For my
guys happen to see the Hellblade 2 dev diaries?
I saw the
the-
screenshots, some of the screenshots for them, but I've actually got the video lined up to watch.
Yeah.
Was it any good?
Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Oh, there's another
Amazing work.
National Geographic one. I want to see
Yeah.
screenshots. dang it at this point, but I know why they're doing this. They're restarting up again, and they came out and said, hey, we're going to be doing more of this. We're going to be dropping these on a regular basis. So we'll start to get to see some of the inside stuff. I just didn't need another National Geographic. It's gorgeous. Again, Iceland's a beautiful country. Enjoyed the first one. After all this time, though, when I saw that it was just kind of a recap of that again, I was like, I want something. Just give me two screenshots.
I really want to see how it looks on the Series X. That's what I really want to see. Because, on PC, if you've got this rig to run it, it's going to be gorgeous. But I really just want to see what it's going to look like on the Series X. I also want to see, because they're using UE5, I want to hear about what feature set they're using to take advantage of the consoles. Because there's been no announcement around any game taking advantage of velocity architecture or the BC Pact or anything like that around compression size for the game, so that the download is a lot lower and then it uncompresses itself or whatever, decompression. But you're not getting a lot of
I'm with
that.
Jay, E3. E3 will get it.
E3. But it would be nice just to hear that the devs talk about, hey, this is what we did to kind of get this level of fidelity out of this console by taking advantage of all the feature sets through RDNA 2. It would be really nice to see that, because we haven't really had that at this point on any Xbox game. And you haven't really even had that from PlayStation titles either, except for the magical cancer curing SSD that they have on their system, which isn't magical or cancer curing at all. I'm excited. Hellblade 2 is my most hyped game at the moment. I know Starfield's coming, but I'm like, I just really want to know when I get to play Hellblade 2. Like, I really want to know.
When do you think it releases? 2023? 2024?
I think earliest end of the year.
End of the year.
Earliest, I think. Earliest then. If not, beginning of next year.
Yeah. I definitely. I was on the first half of 2024. I thought that would be the spring game. As more people have talked about it, I think it's certainly possible that it's ready, and that's the second half game. Again, it'll be spectacular if they get that out this year. What a great year they will have overall. I mean, it'll just be amazing. And then that would make sense for the roadmap if Avowed's ready for the spring game next year. That would continue the hype. I mean, again, if you can get Avowed out early next year, have that as your big launch title for 2024, bro, you're on a streak that we all thought you were going to have starting last year, right? You would really start to see the cadence of those first party titles dropping, as they should be with this many studios, right? So I think this is going to be a big moment. Am I 100% sure? No, of course not. Again, there's questions, but then the question does beg to ask is, what game do they have for the second half? We know Age of Empires 4 is there. Nobody counts that besides me. That's a big game for me, but it's not for a lot of people. So what else do you have in the second half? And if they move Forza, they delay Starfield to the second half to make up for that kind of open space, I don't think that's a W this year. It'll be a great year. Don't get me wrong. It'll be fantastic. But I think after last year, you can't have another year where you just give us the delayed titles again. Like,
Now, what if they release Stalker at the end of the year?
Stalker 2? Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
I mean, again, we don't know what. I mean, Jay, are you expecting it to be like the greatest thing ever? I mean, I'm a Stalker fan. I played the original Stalker, so I'm huge in Stalker. It looks gorgeous, but that team and what they've been through, the adversity, I'm still expecting that game might not even be as big as they originally planned with everything they've had to go through. Again, that's no fault of theirs, and I'm not going to blame them. I'm not going to hold it over their head for sure. I'm going to play the game and love every minute of it, but I just don't know if that's the big game that you want, right? I don't know if it fills that role. Do you think it does?
I feel like...
No.
I feel
it's not going to fill that blockbuster role for the holidays.
Right.
No, it's not.
Because as much as Metro was amazing in this big game and such, it's still kind of niche in the respect that it doesn't appeal to every gamer. And I feel like this is that same title. Like, it will hit quite heavily for those who like that style of game and for a lot of those hardcore gamers, but for the casual market, probably not so much. So I think the biggest impact it's going to have for that game succeeding in general is the fact that it's going to be releasing on Game Pass.
Boba in the chat said, would love to know what Pong thinks about Gunzilla games off the grid game.
Gunzilla's game off the grid. What is
That's what
off the
it's-
grid?
Don't know.
There.
You have to
Look
investigate.
at me off the grid. Anybody else got any idea? Hold on, let me look it up.
No.
Off
Nope,
the
not a clue.
grid game. Is that a man? I
Now,
haven't
with
heard of
Pong
that one.
searches for that, let me ask you guys a question. Right, with E3
Yeah,
not too far
shoot.
off, right? What's some of the games you guys are looking forward to?
That's a good question.
Um,
I don't know.
Fable?
Avowed for sure. Fable, yes.
Avowed?
Fable, yes. We're not going to see
Definitely
it, though.
those. They should show us something.
I don't think we're going to see Fable. I think we're going to see Fable next year.
Oh,
It's going to be a fail if they don't show something.
I really don't think, and I will eat my words in this instance. If they show it, I'll be so happy. But I just feel like they're going to wait a little bit longer before they show it, and I feel like they're probably wanting to show it when it's likely to release in 12 months. So
Well, you had one of the devs come out on Twitter and said they can't wait to show off what they have.
yeah, but that could be just because they're excited for what they're working on. It might not be in a state that they
true.
really want to show, because then you've got the disclaimers around, like, this is not actual proper whatever finalized footage, and then people will turn around and go, but you showed this, and yeah, so who knows.
I want to see some more Contraband. I want to see what that game is
yes.
about.
Yes.
Contraband needs to show up, right?
Avowed.
Absolutely.
In Exiles game, Compulsion's game, they both need to show up at some
Compulsion
point.
definitely
One of the
needs
two
to,
this
because we
year.
haven't heard anything from them about that game specifically, other
Yeah.
than rumors, since it got announced about the acquisition back in 2017.
And I think that's a product of them growing from a AA team into a much bigger AAA team. Like, they had the new studio built. Like, Phil gave them a lot of resources, right? He believed in them a lot. So I think they've got a bigger leap than like an In Exile
They
does,
changed
who
their
again,
rooms, right? They bought a bigger
Right.
site to work out
yes,
of. Yeah.
they got a brand new office. Yeah, brand new office, everything else. Like, they went to Phil and said, hey, we want to make AAA games. We don't want to make AA games. We need a better office. And Phil gave it to them. So they've got a lot more to prove, and it's a bigger jump for them. That's why I think we might see In Exiles first. Now, In Exile is also making a jump, make no mistake about it, going from Wasteland, which again, lore, world building, character, writing, they've got all that in spades, right? They know what they're doing there, but they're trying to move from a top-down, turn-based strategy type old CRPG game into a AAA space. But that team is much more experienced in Compulsion, so I think they're going to have an easier time, and I think they might be ready. They've been extremely active on social media for about the past year and a half. I think they're getting ready to show us. I think that might be the surprise at E3. I really
Now,
do.
do you think Undead Labs
was just gonna bring them
show
up.
us some gameplay?
We're thinking alike there, J-Rock.
I know, right?
It's a big question, man. How close are they, right? That's huge.
They're on
'cause we've
UE5,
heard
right?
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
UE5.
And then they've got
They're on UE5.
what is it? The creator of that studio, he created a side team that's working on just animations for UE5.
Really?
Yeah, they've just created a studio where they're just going to focus on doing.
Oh,
animations
yeah, no,
for
they're
it,
doing
To assist other
they-
teams,
to
yeah.
assist other teams.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think in that space,
motion
c-
capture team,
yeah,
right? They have
in
a special motion
comparison
capture team.
to what happened with the second title in the franchise, where people were complaining about how the characters moved in the animation and such. I think if we do get a showing from Undead Labs, I'll hopefully be very impressed with what they're planning on doing with the third title in State of Decay.
Well, if it's anything
going-
like
they're
the
going
trailer that they showed, it's
Yeah, they're
going to
going
look
big.
pretty good. Yeah.
Mm.
And they've
I
spent a lot
hope
of
that we
time
get
on
a.
it.
Yeah, I hope we're getting a single player experience along with a multiplayer experience. I hope they have a dual type
Co-op.
game. Co-op, but they're really focused, and I think that we heard some things about that they were really focused on the single player narrative side of things, which is going to be great. And if you can hop in co-op, or if there's if they take what they learned from State of Decay 2 and make that a whole separate experience where you can hop into co-op and kind of build out your world and kind of get your camp set up and build out your base, that'll be fantastic. I think they can do both. It's going to be a big leap for them. Real quick, the off the grid question. Yes, I had actually seen that game. I had just forgotten the title. That is Neil Blomkamp's game that he is creating in Unreal Engine 5. I watched that early peek that we got at it. I love Neil Blomkamp.
What type of game is it?
It's going to be kind of a post-apocalyptic type game. Very narrative-driven game because it's Neil, right? District 9 is one of my favorite movies. I love.
I know
District
the one
9.
you're talking about. I didn't know I couldn't remember what it was
yes.
called. Yeah.
It kind of looked like Mad Max, kind of looked like Mad Max in a way. It's going to have it's going to definitely be a shooter. There's no question about that. And the trailer that they showed was very cinematic. Of course, it's Neil, right? That's his background. He's in movies. One of the greatest travesties of all time is that Xbox didn't, hire Neil to do the Halo series that he created. If you guys have ever seen his mini series that is still out there, it's freaking unbelievable. What he could have done with Halo. But anyways, off the grid, I'm excited for it because I love Neil. So I'm naturally going to be watching this game. I can't wait to see what he does in the video game space. 100%.
Well, thank you. Everyone who's joined us live in the chat, we appreciate you every week. We'll be here next week, probably not on this channel, but I think we'll be back on Elite's channel next week. But love seeing you guys every week, and I really just want to say a big thank you to both J-Rock and Pong Sol for joining us as guests this week, and as always, Ashtrey Gaming. Always have a laugh on the show every week, and hashtag delete elite. I need to make that t-shirt. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Really do.
But J-Rock, where can people find you? And we'll start doing some outros.
Well, they can always find me on Twitter. I don't have a YouTube channel yet or anything like that.
Murdering people.
But they can always find me on Twitter, man.
Very good, Pong Sol.
Yes. Thank you for the invite. Again, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Panda, and of course, Ashtrey. Missed you, Elite. We'll have to do this again sometime so I can get a chance to talk with you.
He really didn't miss out much. All he really
I know, but I got to be nice. I got to be nice.
This is like the whole time.
Yeah, I know, but I got to be nice if I ever want to come back. I'd like to come back and talk to you and Ashtrey, especially. So that's fine. But no, and of course, it was fantastic to finally get on a podcast with J-Rock. Of course, him and I are on Twitter together and that's such, but it's always great to hear his thoughts. You did a great job, by the way, Jay, on WBG the other time.
Thank you, brother.
Too. So yeah, no, it was awesome, man. So great to finally be on a show with you. Everybody, find me Pong Sol on Xbox, Pong Sol on Twitter. You guys all know the drill there. In a few hours, I will be over on Fun Speculations channel for Xbox Ultimate. That's every Friday night. It's a fantastic show, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. We go left, we go right, we go up, down, we go all over the place. We laugh a lot there, but we do talk a lot of gaming as well. So join us there. Tomorrow morning, it's living split screen with my brother from Another Steel Rain. It's a 2-man show. We go 3+ hours, but normally it's 4 at this point. So him and I talk a lot. Start your mornings off right 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time in the morning, 3 p.m. UK time. Be there. Tell a friend. Bring a friend. If you got to go do something, hey, go get your chores done. Come back. We'll still be on. I can almost guarantee it. That's what happens because Steele and I love to talk, if you can't tell. So be there tomorrow morning. And then on Saturday nights, it's the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam over on his channel. Amazing. Ashtray is always in the chat there with us. The fraud, him and the blue one. They're always there, but it's a great way to end your Saturday night. We have great conversations there. That starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Tuesdays, it's Xbox Factor, even though I'm not there at all anymore. I'm still part of the panel officially, so I promote it because it's Mr. Boomstick. It's Double Barrel Gaming. Like, he does it 5 days a week. He's one of the best in the business. Great member of the community. So check out Xbox Factor every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then Thursday nights, it's PM in the PM. Back on Fun Speculations channel. That is Pong and Mav in the PM. 2-man show, but we do have a guest from time to time. We've had some big people on there. Mav and I just catch up during the week. It's a lot like me and Steele, and we just catch up the week and talk gaming, talk to the chat. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, every Thursday night, PM in the PM. Otherwise, it's the golden age of gaming, people. So get out there, have a great weekend, whatever you're going to do. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Thanks, guys, again.
Thank you, and thank you so much. Ashtrey, what about yourself? Where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Xbox and Twitter, sometimes YouTube whenever I get around to making a video at Ashtrey Gaming. I keep it all the same. Uniformity is key if you want to find me on any of those platforms. And obviously for me, every Saturday morning here on, well, we're on Red's channel today, but we're usually over on Elite's channel doing this show. We always have, nearly every episode we have a guest. It's rare that we don't.
Yeah.
And even if we don't, Elite's technically a guest anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
but we have fun and we talk a bit of shit. So we enjoy that. And yourself, Red.
You can find me on Twitter. Yeah, RedDeadPanda1. You can find me on Xbox, RedDeadPanda871. That's where I am. And then shortly, once I get back into Halo Season 3, we'll probably get back into some community game nights, and no doubt, J-Rock, you and I will end up playing some Halo together.
Absolutely.
Maybe try and convince Jedi Knight Peter to come back. Hopefully they fix the whole heap of issues that all of us gamers were having around that game. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I'm always trying to be on the podcast every week if I can. Sometimes life gets in the way, guys. It's reality. But yeah, it's been a great show. Episode 90, I can't believe.
Yep,
90.
solid guests.
Damn, solid guests.
90 episodes already.
Yeah,
Wow.
damn. All right. Well, thank you to the chat for joining us live. And thank you to our lovely guests. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'm probably going to go out and have something to eat now because I haven't really had breakfast yet. And it's midday
It's lunchtime
now.
for you.
It's lunchtime now. I'm going to have a late lunch. But yeah, cheers. Bye for now, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.